Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 10th, 2026 New Bern Board of Aldermen meeting. Prayer tonight will be given by Alderman White.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Loving Father, Divine Mother, we thank you for this day and our place in it, in this beautiful city. We pray that you bring knowledge of your will to our minds, to our words. We pray you bring humility, and to our actions, we pray you bring compassion and peace. Amen.
Amen. And if you're able to stand, please do so as we pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Ferguson.
Here.
Alderman Bryant. Here. Alderman Astor.
Here.
Mayor Odham.
Here.
Alderman White.
Here.
Alderman Best.
Present.
Alderman Outlaw.
Here. What's the pleasure of the board for the agenda? Any changes you'd like to make? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Agenda is approved. Next is request and petition of citizens. Madam Clerk. First up is David French.
I'm David French, 104 Johnson Street. Why am I here yet again? I am here because my cousin Mary Ann Duffy Williams was never able to return home before she died in 2022, 4 years after Hurricane Florence devastated her home. I am here because I have a signed contract with Rebuild NC to repair our home, which they have violated. I am here because of my fellow hurricane flood survivors, like my friend Tammy and her granddaughter in Columbus County, who are still not back home, who were lied to and defrauded by Roy Cooper and Josh Stein. I am here for my friend Louise here in Craven County, who was kicked out of the program that she had been in for years because she could not find a place to move for them to repair her house. I am here for my friend Denise, a veteran, retired veteran in Duplin County, who actually got a rebuilt home, but it's falling apart and she cannot get anyone to repair it. I am here for the 93-year-old lady on Madams Moore Lane who's been living in an RV for going on 8 years. I am here for the over 7,000 people who are still homeless because of the fraud of Cooper, Stein, and their cohorts. Whose fault was it? Most certainly it was Roy Cooper's. Josh Stein, Eddie Buffalo, Laura Hogshead, Matthew Arlen, Pryor Gibson, and their Rebuild NC cohorts. But it's also the impotent and feckless Republican-controlled North Carolina legislature who have refused to properly fight for us. Bob Brinson said, "We don't do things like that." Well, you know what? The way he did things has made people homeless. What is the city of New Bern's responsibility? Did the city ever reach out to Cousin Mary Ann, a stroke and hurricane survivor, to see what they could do to help? No. Outlaw and Odham as mayor never once did. Instead, at the behest of a neighbor, they sue Cousin Mary Ann, a stroke and hurricane survivor, and place fines on her home. I demand these fines be removed now. It seems we have billions to send foreign governments to wage war, but we don't have billions or the time to focus on the people of Eastern North Carolina and Western North Carolina. What is the solution? The cities, towns, and counties of Eastern North Carolina and Western North Carolina must join together and sue the state of North Carolina on behalf of the homeless hurricane flood survivors to bring hurricane disaster recovery back to the local level where it has worked successfully for over 40 years. Cooper is a criminal. I invite Roy Cooper, I invite Josh Stein, and all the people that I've named to sue me. Because you know what? What they've done to us is criminal. Alderman Ferguson, You represent a multi-million-dollar, you're a partner actually, I think you just got named a partner in a multi-million-dollar law firm. Will your firm step in and do pro bono work to represent the hurricane flood survivors of Eastern North Carolina? Will you? Will your firm do that? We don't have anyone representing us. They have multiple lawyers. We have no ombudsman. We have nothing. And if you think we're going away, we're not going away. We are not going away. And everyone you're sitting up there, you will all appear before the Lord one day at the great white throne judgment seat of Christ. And you know what? You will be held to a higher standard because you've sought these positions. So you are going to you need to stand up and do for the people here. There are over 8,000. That's just 8,000 applicants. That means that could be 24,000 people in Eastern North Carolina who are homeless due to the fraud of Roy Cooper, Josh Stein, and a feckless and impotent North Carolina legislature. It's unacceptable. I will not yield.
Next is David Covington.
My name's David, and I don't live in the city, and I don't have anything against any of you, except maybe you. I'm 72 years old. I'm a retired manufacturing and engineering manager, and just recently real estate appraisals. Moved here back in 2013, April of 2013, and live in Deerfield, and realized that the water bill out in Deerfield, and I've asked you about this before, Dana, the water bill out in Deerfield is $40 higher than anybody in the city. And nobody has been able to answer that question as to why. I spoke with a lady at the water department named Renita, and I'm assuming she's the manager of that department. She couldn't tell me why the bill was higher and told me she would have someone call me who could answer that question. And I received a call from a lady a few days later. I don't recall her name, and was offered several reasons, of which none were viable or made any sense. None. Not one bit of sense. The answer you gave me when I asked you about it didn't make any sense. One of the things she said was the difference was to cover any liability issues the city might incur should someone fall into a tank. And I'm sure that the city carries some kind of insurance to cover stuff like that. So I wrote that one off as kind of not being legitimate. Then I was told by that same lady that people in the city pay city tax, which is why I chose not to live inside the city. At which point she stated that the city also did not have to provide this service to people outside the city. And my response to her was, but you do. Prior to her contacting me, when I asked Dana about it, Dana, in his verbal fashion, told me that, well, people from outside the city come into the city and use our facilities. But that was bogus. Not all people come into the city and use these facilities. So there's another answer that was blown away. I've also been told that this overcharge did not occur until shortly after my neighborhood refused to allow the city to install sewer lines throughout the development. And sometime shortly after, the water fee was increased. During that time frame, since I moved here in 2013, I have paid $6,240 more than somebody inside the city for the water services provided by the city. And so all I'm really doing here, I don't want to complain, but I can if I have to. I'd just like an answer as to why. Why? What service am I getting outside the city for that water that generates a need to charge me $40 every month more than the city residents? That's all I'm looking for. Please, can somebody answer that? I'm not
tonight,
looking for an
sir.
answer today.
Somebody will contact you tomorrow.
I'm sorry?
Somebody will contact you tomorrow.
Say that again, please.
Someone will contact you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you very much. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to drink my coffee.
All right.
Thank you.
Next is Cleopatra Hargett Lawton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Greetings, Mayor Odham, Board of Aldermen, community members, and colleagues. Since I've been back 4 years, seems like everybody knows my name. And that's a good thing, because my grandmother named me Cleopatra. She was a slave on a plantation in Pollocksville. I moved back to my family's, saved my family's land at 1706 College Street. I'm an alumni of West Street School, descendant of General Frederick Hargett, who fought in the Revolutionary War that we are celebrating this year, and he also founded UNC Chapel Hill. I have a rich history, so I'm saving our history. Hargett Street in our state capital, Raleigh, honors my fifth great-grandfather's vast service to North Carolina and America, fighting for independence. I am a descendant of Isaiah and Emma Hargett, who are USCT. I was honored 2 years ago in Wilmington for them helping to win the war in Wilmington. My family has paid taxes and helped found Craven County over 250 years ago. We're celebrating 200 years of my great-great-grandfather founding Bryant Chapel Church in Cove City, and we founded Core Creek, it was called before. Therefore, I value my history, their history, and the history of people in New Bern, Craven County, America, and around the world. I know that once history is destroyed, it is gone forever. I do not want all of us to look back as historic West Street F.R. Daniels property many years from now and wonder what happened. So, I continue to appeal to you as our elected officials and leaders to save our history before it is destroyed by this choice neighborhood project. As I've told, many other promised projects have been destroyed in New Bern. To the regret of the citizens of New Bern, once this history is destroyed, I continue to say it is gone forever. The North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources has requested that the Craven County School Board give them an opportunity to visit and review the property. The school board has ignored their request and instead rushed to accept a bid from the housing commissioners to circumvent the bid that we did first and that we submitted to them. We are a coalition of citizens in New Bern, and we are now incorporated as a nonprofit. We have given the school board almost 1,000 signatures on the petitions of citizens who want to save the property. I have these questions for you to please answer for me and the New Bern citizens. I've given you a copy of them. There are 6. Number 1, is it conflict of interest for the second largest landowner in New Bern to be a housing commissioner? I worked with 6 mayors in D.C. That seems to be a conflict of interest. She's a commissioner making decisions about land that she can plot to own. Number 2, is it a conflict of interest for a high-paid consultant hired by the Choice Neighborhood Group to implement this plan for the New Bern Housing Authority to also be put in the unadvertised executive director's position of the Housing Authority?
Thank you, Ms. Lawton. Your time is up.
You have the rest of my questions.
Thank you.
I hope we will give the citizens some answers. Thank you.
Next is James Woods, Jr.
James O. Woods, Jr., 1903 Country Club Road, New Bern, North Carolina. Mr. Mayor and Board of Aldermen, good evening.
Good evening.
I am here asking a question about why is West Street and F Street closed. I understand about the green space that was being done out there, but never in any of the things that were brought before this board or the citizens telling us that West Street and F Street will be closed off. With that road closed off, now there's only one way in and one way out of Duffyfield. And you can't get to East Rose Street like you used to be able to if you went down F Street and right there. I understand about the waterway that connects Jacks Creek. Understood all of that when it was presented. But no one mentioned that that street was going to be closed, and now it's closed. It never came before this board, or it never came before the citizens to let us know that it was going to be closed. All I want to know is why and who closed it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Helen Robinson.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I'm Helen Robinson, 1906 Cayenne Court. I'd like to talk for just a few minutes about citizen engagement in city government. In my view, it's pretty important that the community be involved in the governance of the city. I think that the community is more likely to thrive when there is active engagement. I understand this is a two-way street. Part of what my life is spent doing right now is encouraging citizens to care and learn and show up and help. And then the other side of that is that there are ways that public officials can make a difference. And that's what I want to talk about for a couple of minutes. Engagement means good communication. Communication requires the ability to talk and listen. One of my concerns, and this has been addressed here a few times over the last year, is that often in this courtroom, those of us sitting back here can't hear. We can't listen if we can't hear. And so I'm requesting you guys to let us know what the plan is to improve that. That would make a difference. A second concern that I have has to do about the proposed change in the rules for public comment. If the proposed change is enacted in April, then the opportunity will not exist for a citizen like me to address an issue like this at the beginning of the meeting. And frankly, we old people are not going to stay here till 9 or 9:30 at night. And so I think that change would indeed make the meetings more efficient. And I think that would happen with a significant loss in the opportunity for citizen input. I've heard it said there are a lot of different ways for us as citizens to engage with you guys. Theoretically, that's very true. In practice, some of us feel discouraged about how that works. For example, 2 weeks ago, I sent an email to all of you and asked for a response, and so far I've heard back from one alderman. I'm hopeful, but so far I've heard back from only one. Another concern that some of us in the audience have is that there are people, some of you guys, I don't know if you're looking out the window or at the floor, but a lot of times you're not looking at us. And, you know, I don't know what that's about, but it makes us feel unimportant. So it's not encouraging. It doesn't help us encourage people to get more involved. So if you don't do anything about the plan for public comment, then this will be the last time that somebody can stand up here and address, which is, all of us have concerns that feel important to us. I know it's annoying to you guys sometimes, but they're true citizen concerns. So I ask you respectfully to fix the sound system and to speak into your mics. And I ask you to demonstrate actively your commitment and your intention to involving us more regularly in the work of the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person I see is Lynn Jordan, but it looks like the issue may be regarding the electric rate. So if Lynn Jordan wants to speak on the electric rate, there is going to be a public hearing coming up, or you can come speak now. It's up to you.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Sure.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Good evening. I want to start off by giving 2 disclaimers. The first disclaimer is, please do not prejudge me by my accent, because I am Craven County born and bred. The second disclaimer is, I recognize that y'all are politicians and not magicians, and that every grievance that is going to be presented to you today and tomorrow, you cannot address. But for those grievances and concerns that you can address, have a little grace and a little bit of mercy and a little bit of empathy when you make the decisions that's going to affect the great citizens of Craven County. So, as the mayor said, I am coming with 2 concerns. The first one is that 4% increase, which I understand is going to be addressed at a later time, and that's fine. And unofficially, I'm told that it may be more like 1 or 2%. I can live with that 1 and 2% over 4%. My second concern is the double light bills that many people have received, and I would like to know what kind of algorithm is being used if you go from $185 a month to $200 on an average, and then you jump up to $429, or in my sister's case, $800. So with that, that's going to conclude my concerns, and again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Board, that completes all the petition of citizens. We'll move on to the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the Board on items 5 through 12?
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call starting with Alderman Ferguson.
Alderman Ferguson,
Yes.
Alderman Bryant,
Yes.
Alderman Astor,
Yes.
Alderman White,
Yes.
Alderman Best,
Yes.
Alderman Outlaw, Mayor Odham.
Yes, motion carries. Next is item number 13. Conduct a public hearing and consider adopting an ordinance to establish initial zoning of R8 residential at 3406 Old Airport Road. Ms. Ruth.
It's right here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight we have a request to apply initial zoning to recently annexed property at 3406 Old Airport Road. This request was received by Keith Weems. Currently there is no zoning on this property as it was just brought into the city, and the proposed zoning is R8 on this acre parcel. This is an illustration of where the parcel is located. In the yellow is our notification list. And this is a description of our R8 zoning district. This is a very basic minimum lot size of 8,000 square feet residential district. As you can see, as we are acquiring properties through annexation, this area is working in a pattern of becoming mostly R8, and that is, again, what is proposed for this parcel. At its meeting held in February, the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended applying the R8 zoning to this parcel. They did find it to be consistent with our land use plan, as well as our ordinances and other adopted documents that regulate land use, and it is adjacent to other R8 properties. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does the board have any questions for staff? Hearing none, at this time I will open a public hearing on item number 13. If you would like to speak for or against this topic, please come to the microphone at this time.
Make a motion the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed. What is the pleasure of the board on item number 13?
Well, if I can get my computer back open, I will make a motion to approve it. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance to establish initial zoning for R8 residential at 3406 Old Airport Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call starting with Alderman Bryant.
Alderman Bryant?
Yes.
Alderman Astor?
Yes.
Alderman White?
Yes.
Alderman Best?
Yes.
Alderman Outlaw?
Yes.
Alderman Ferguson?
Yes.
Mayor Odham?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Next is item number 14, conduct a public hearing and consider adopting an ordinance to rezone 1100 Pine Tree Drive from R10A residential to C3 commercial.
Great, thank you. We have a citizen-initiated request to change the zoning located at 1100 Pine Tree Drive this evening. The current zoning on this property is residential 10A, and the proposed zoning that they desire to be rezoned to is commercial 3. This parcel is slightly under 4 acres in size. This is our location. Across the street, we have the Knights of Columbus buildings, and the large parcel to the left on the screen is the West New Bern Recreation Center. This is proof of posted notice to meet state statutes. This is an illustration of our notification properties. And this is a summary of the current zoning. R10A is a residential district. It doesn't allow much else. Commercial 3, I call your attention to the definition of what Commercial 3 means. This is established as a district for offices, services, and retailing. It's generally located on the city's major radial roads. Just for everyone's knowledge, what is a radial road? A radial road comes out from a city center and efficiently moves a high volume of traffic, okay? So I want you to think about that definition when we're talking about Pine Tree. It's very difficult to illustrate all of the uses on a chart. I know sometimes that comes up. Included in your packet was the 80 uses that anyone is allowed to apply for a permit by right in the C3 district. Some of these things that we get questioned on most frequently are listed on the right side of the screen here. Restaurants, bars, and nightclubs are allowed by right. That means we can just issue a permit after it goes through the Development Review Committee. Vape shops, different retailers that generate high volumes of traffic, manufacturing, and then various offices and medical services, research, etc. This is our existing zoning map. So this is what it looks like right now. You will see there is an awful lot of R15 around. At some point in time, this particular parcel was zoned R10. My guess is at some point in time somebody requested that zoning since it's a little bit different than what's in the surrounding area. Then we've got some C5, which is a less intense commercial district right there on that road too. And there is a parcel zoned 3C to the south there, although it doesn't have frontage on the same road, so consider that as well if you're making comparisons. You can see here that this parcel is currently undeveloped. And this is what it looks like from the street a couple of weeks ago. And here are the considerations that were given by the Planning and Zoning Board on February 19th. They did not recommend adoption of the proposed rezoning request. The reason for them not recommending this request was they found it to be inconsistent with the city's land use plan. Remember, we talked about the types of roads that are appropriate for higher intensity commercial uses. Also, with the vast amount of residential around there and the 80 uses by right that are allowed in the C3 district, they were not comfortable, although the applicant has shared with them and will likely share with you what their intended use is. That is their intent. If this is rezoned to C3, those 80 uses that were included in your packet would be allowed by right. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions or have the public hearing, and then I'd be happy to answer questions after.
Board have questions for staff?
Thank you.
Okay, this time we'll open a public hearing on item number 14. This is the rezoning of 1100 Pine Tree Drive. If you'd like to speak for or against, please come to the microphone at this time.
Good evening. My name's Jackie O'Brien. I'm the director of Paws of War. I'm here with my husband, Bill, who's our lead trainer and the reason we started this program in Eastern North Carolina. Also with us tonight are Paws of War supporters and dog teams, so we want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank you all for putting us on the agenda, allowing us to speak about this. We train, just to refresh everyone's memory, we train veterans, active military, first responders to train their dogs for basic obedience training or service dog training. If they do not have a dog, we work with our local shelters and rescues to find them a dog. Our focus are with those who have PTSD or traumatic brain injury. We do not charge for our services. A graduated service dog is worth about $25,000 to $40,000. We volunteer our time as well as many to support this program. Since we started it in 2021, we've trained over 170 dogs, and we've graduated 12 service dog teams in 2025, with many more to graduate next year. So currently we train at the Havelock VFW outside and donated property in Swansboro outside. These classes are subject to weather cancellations. We do public training at the New Bern Mall, downtown New Bern, Lowe's, and the Jacksonville Airport. And we do community outreach for free clinics, medical clinics for pets of these veterans, either microchipping, spaying, neutering, or vaccines. So we saw a lot of different properties. And unfortunately, because of the fact that we need to train outside as well as inside, the only zone option we were given was C3. When we look at C3 properties, there's virtually no green space. Where we train in Swansboro and Havelock, there is green space. That's important to us because that space provides those with anxiety a sense of peace, grounding, and calmness. Most commercial properties don't provide that. They provide concrete, traffic, and buildings. So that's not conducive to the special training needs that we have for our dog teams. Now, a portion of this property is deemed wetlands and will always be preserved. So we would only develop on a portion of it to put up a building to use as our training center and a community center. The other reason we are fighting for this property is practicality. This property is across the street from our partners at the American Legion that use the Knights of Columbus building, the Knights of Columbus and the Elks Club. It's also near Veteran Services building on Martin Luther King. They, among other VA locations, refer clients to us and we work with them. It's also close to our public training areas, and this provides a central location for those clients that we have that are in Jacksonville, Greenville, and New Bern. We do have Havelock residents that train at Havelock, so they would have to make a little bit of a trip to New Bern, but it helps those that are in Jacksonville that are driving all the way through New Bern, James City, to get to Havelock. And having a property where we can put up a training and community center will provide more consistent training, reducing weather cancellations, increasing engagement our teams have with each other and the community. We also would plan future partnerships to work with the neighboring elementary school and Truewood to educate kids and seniors on service dog etiquette and other activities. And having the ability to hold community events is pretty much what New Bern is all about. This area has more community-based organizations than many other areas we've visited. And this mission that we're on is bigger than any of us in this room and needs to continue beyond Bill and I. That's why we need to have a home base as well. Now, we do understand the concerns with the commercial zone C3 that allows us to do indoor and outdoor training with a special use permit. We know that the concern is not with what we do, but with what a future future owner could do. Yeah. So what we would like to ask is, if there is no other zone for us to be assigned to, could we would like to add stipulations to the new property deed if we were to purchase this property, to keep this property for this mission or as a memorial park and a community center. Similar to where the wetlands has to stay wetlands, we want this property to forever be with the community, for the community. We consulted with our real estate attorney from White and Hall, and he indicated that it is possible to restrict future use of property by restraints contained in a deed that could bind future owners of the property. Highlights of this are that the stipulation must comply with local zoning laws and regulations, apply to all future owners, specifies the allowed uses and any conditions that must be met, and is filed with the New Bern Register of Deeds, meeting all county requirements, including proper execution and delivery. With that, we humbly ask for your approval to move forward.
That was pretty good. I didn't get a chance to say anything.
Sorry. I speak from the heart, but I had to write it down because this is a little nerve-wracking.
Thank you.
So basically, when we went to the commissioners thing, I mean, the biggest challenge, I don't want to speak into that, the biggest challenge seems to be...
Well, if you kind of need to speak in the microphone so everybody in the audience can hear and people on TV.
So the biggest challenge appeared to be that we're kind of a round peg that doesn't fit into the square thing that's whatever that regulation is. Right? So, I mean, we were trying to find every angle that I could think of to try to shave and shape the round peg into a square so it would cleanly fit in, but it really doesn't. And there seems to be some major concern with vape shops, right? I mean, it kept coming up over and over again saying, we don't want you to turn into a vape shop. And honestly, that's the furthest thing from our mind. And to Jackie's point, it really is all about finding a place that, A, we can train dogs, and B, we can have veterans who just want to come and work with their dog or work with other dogs or just kind of hang out with other veterans that are there, have a spot that they can come and do that. And to Jackie's point, you know, a major thoroughfare or something like 70 or 17 or any of those places doesn't really fit that bill. Now this, we didn't expect to find this piece of property and say, ooh, this is it. But sometimes, you know, you come across something and you just look at it and it has a funny shape to it and it has a funny smell to it, but you just kind of know it's something that I want to hold on to. And this piece of property, for whatever reason, does that. And we circled from one side to the other and we avoided the poison ivy and the swamp and the dirt and the mud and the bugs and the snakes and everything else that's living in there, but still came away saying, this would be a great spot. So I got to say something, and now I feel better. So, but that's basically what we've got to say. So,
okay.
So thank
appreciate your consideration, right, and do appreciate it. So,
thank you.
Do we stay here or do we go sit down?
Mr. Davis, I watched the P&Z meeting. I know a deed restriction came up. Is that something that is, if possible?
Not at all, Mayor. And we don't want to conflate two issues. It's perfectly legal to have a deed with restrictions. If you own the land, you can restrict it in many, many ways. But that can't be tied to a rezoning process. That is called illegal contract zoning, where you negotiate with an owner of land to get a particular use. Your job is to consider all the potential uses and decide if all of those uses are appropriate for this location. It's a great creative idea, just violates North Carolina law when it's tied to zoning.
That's it? That's the dead
The public hearing is still open, so if anybody would like to speak, they can come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Odham and Board of Aldermen. My name is Joanna Kloster, and I live at 2004 Duchess Court. I am here as a citizen who knows the good work of Paws of War, and more importantly, I'm here to support their plans for expanding their amazing program, which would allow them to help even more people in our community. A personal aside, how I know the good works of Jackie and Bill O'Brien. My husband Patrick and I met them about 3 years ago at a Celebration of Life event. They told us about their special canine program for veterans, active military, and first responders, and that it was all volunteer. They were doing it out of the love of their heart. They do not get paid for this. We were drawn to their compassion and dedication to this program that helps others with needs that were uniquely addressed through the companionship of trained service and therapy dogs. As a dog lover, this was music to my ears. Since then, I have been welcomed into the Paws of War Circle of Giving by partnering with them at events. They've welcomed me in with my educational table the adoption from shelters. I believe we all know the special gem that we have in this unique training program, as explained by by the O'Briens. Now, you didn't get to see their PowerPoint, but hopefully you will ask them so that you can get to see it. You didn't get to? Okay. And it's because of what dogs provide that we all stand here. How dogs help those with emotional and psychological needs as a result of service to our community and our country. Among the animal kingdom, dogs are unique. No other species provides the loyalty, love, and comfort that can heal trauma and psychological wounds suffered by humans in the line of duty, a fact not to be taken lightly. And it's supported by reams of research. I know because I spent over 10 years writing and researching the human-canine bond from my book, Lily Unleashed. And remember, Paws of War not only provides training to its participants with their own dogs, but it helps others find a dog by working with local shelters and law enforcement to find a dog that's a good match. So when I learned Paws of War was seeking to expand, but might be denied due to stipulations in real estate transaction, I got on the computer. I like finding things out. So the concern is over rezoning, as we just heard. And I have to say that I feel that we still need to look into that. What else can we do? And that's what hopefully we can learn. The concern over the rezoning, the restrictions, well, you said it was negative, but I'm going to share what I learned. Any restrictions or covenants should be clearly stated in the deed and recorded with the County Register of Deeds. And these restrictions and covenants can bind future owners so that no vape shops or other businesses deemed inappropriate can function near the adjacent school that we're concerned about. Adding covenants in a deed, according to the research, is not the biggest deal. And Paws of War, to my knowledge, would add that stipulation that this land, if sold, could be used only for indoor-outdoor dog training, a memorial park, or a community center. Well, the bottom line is, we need to do all we can to keep this organization growing, because you can see in the amount of time that they've been here how many more, and they have all the stats of how many people that they've helped. I'm grateful to call Jackie and Bill O'Brien friends. We share our hope with them that this board allows them to move forward with their plan to expand the reach of their amazing program. It's a good and right thing to do, so hopefully we can look into this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up.
Yes. Well, I'm proof that Jackie and Bill, because I'm a vet with PTSD, and I have a dog with their program. And because they helped me train my dog, they kept me alive. Because I'm a vet that suffers not only from PTSD, but also schizoaffective disability as well. So I wouldn't like to see a vape shop, a steakhouse, Olive Garden, or whatever. I would like to see my vets, because we have more vets in this area than anything. And I feel that every vet needs a dog or some type of pet to help them through their day. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come tonight thinking I would speak, but since I've heard this, and I'll tell you, I'm retired military. I was a combat corpsman with the United States Marine Corps in Vietnam. That's where I started. I'm sorry. I'm very compassionate about this. And this little guy keeps me going. This program keeps me going. And I don't care much for lawyers. When I retired, I became a forensic medical investigator for the state of New Mexico. And that's why I really got a bad taste for a lot of the laws and attorneys that are always defending or trying to protect the bad rules and laws. So I will tell you, I will fight anybody on that front from experience. And I can't tell you some of the horror stories that I alone have been involved in. And along with some of these other folks who have far more disabilities than I have. And I do apologize for getting so worked up. But please, zoning laws suck so much of the time for so many reasons. And I don't want to hear that crap. This program works not only for veterans, first responders cover police officers, nurses, doctors, people that are in the emergency situation. You look at 9/11, you look at those poor people and the firemen and stuff. This program helps cover and train. And I don't, and I don't care about some of these other rules. They need to go away. You can outlaw vape shops and all this other garbage, and I'd be happy, because that's killed more people, in tobacco products and stuff. And I know that upsets a lot of people from North Carolina, including my family, my wife's family. Mine was into cotton. Hers was into tobacco products, from way back when. And I just get tired of the rhetoric. And please help us and help these other friends and these animals. And it also saves animals from these shelters, because there are a lot of them. They got a lot more to give to us, and they provide a lot better humanity than a lot of people. So I'll get off my soapbox, and please consider this program is outstanding. And if you need to change zoning laws, so people don't have to worry about, heck, you look how many bars we have in this town. Okay? You tell me there's not, and I'm not against alcohol when it's used properly, but you look at that kind of stuff and how we can get so much of that approved through things. But if you don't help us get this approved, then shame on you. Thank you.
little short. Good evening. Some of you know me. I'm the Executive Director, LaVey Wallace Singleton, of Veterans Employment Base Camp in Organic Garden. And I just wanted to throw my support behind Pause of War, not only because I'm a participant, but also, if many of you remember, about 10 or 11 years ago, I stood before you guys saying, hey, I want to start a veterans garden. And some of you looked at me like she has lost her mind. But over those years, I think that you can say it was a great success. We have helped a lot of veterans with our veteran stand-downs, of which Pause of War is one of our supporters. And I think that sometimes we're required to think outside the box. If we're able to help some of the people who stand on the front line, I would hope that you would do that. And if it requires any kind of restriction or something of that nature, please find it within yourself to do that. As we speak, we are a nation at war, and we will have many more veterans who will require the services that Pause of War provides. So please, if you can find a way to put that little caveat on there, think about when I came to you and said, hey, I want to try this, and I'll tell you, it has been wonderful. I appreciate the support of the city. I think that anytime you guys have been able to come and attend one of our events, you have been totally impressed. And I think you'll do the same with Pause of War. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lauren Klein. Some of you might remember me from November, so I'm not going to waste time talking about use. I just want to speak on behalf of Bill and Jackie O'Brien and their integrity and their character. I've worked with Jackie and Bill O'Brien for years, and what they are building is something money can't buy and something that they would never sell. You have to consider all the what-ifs, and as a New Bern citizen, I ask you to genuinely take into account the character of these two individuals. I consider the O'Brien's family, not just because of the kindness they show, but the determination and follow-through that is way too uncommon today. Their integrity is something rare. You are not supposed to consider the use, but I ask you to consider the honest intentions of the O'Briens. What if the rezoning is approved and there's a drop in ambulance calls in New Bern? What if they are able to create a safe space for veterans that last generations? You have to consider all the possibilities, but I ask you to bear witness to the testimony of those who really know the O'Briens. They are not going to sell this plot in the future. They are not looking for profit. They are genuinely interested in making an impact on our community that will last beyond their time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Steve, and this is Rocky. I think we just went to war without even asking Congress anything. I believe that we can go ahead and do a little bit of thinking other than the quick response that we got. That was a very, very fast shoot down that we got. And I believe we can put a little bit more time into that. And Lord knows there's got to be a loophole. We all watching TV late at night. We know what's going on in the world. I believe you guys can figure something out. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ricky Durham. I come to speak on behalf of Pause of War. I'm a disabled vet. I broke my neck in 1978 down Cherry Point. I have lived with chronic pain every day, even tonight, for nearly 50 years. Pain is something else. You never know just how much pain one person can take. How many vets have we lost because of the pain. Tired of the pain. Tired because nobody's listening. Tired because nobody seems to care. I've been here in New Bern since 78. And for many years, Veterans Day, just another day. Nobody said thank you for your service. They just forgot about us. And I'm not telling you what I've heard, I'm telling you what I know. It took a long time before people started saying thank you for your service, showing their appreciation. We have people here that are doing a great job that vets need. I'm telling you, when I get in my moments, and I also have PTSD, when I have my moments where I just say, this is it. When I don't care about me, she makes me care about her. When I'm hurting, just about bedridden, she comes to my side, jumps up on me. She wants to kiss me, wants me to pet her. But she takes my mind off my problem, off my situation. And that's why I'm still here today. And I'm telling you, you don't know how many veterans that have just said, that's it, I'm done, would still be here today if they were connected with an organization like Paws of War. If they had somebody who cared enough to do the right thing. And change is not change until you change. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a genius. But I'm not stupid either. And I do know you have the power to make whatever change needs to be made. You have the power. You can make a change. I'm not asking you to do anything illegal. I'm just asking you, consider if this were your child that needed the services, that needed this help, what would you do then? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Samantha Solano. My husband has a dog that is going through Paws of War training, but I personally feel animals are very important. I do work at a local veterinary clinic, but I actually wanted to point out a picture that Jackie painted that may have been missed is not only the great things that they can do with their training, but also the community involvement. We do have a big issue in New Bern, and I see it often, of people slapping a service dog vest on their dog, ESA, and taking it into restaurants, Walmart, all of those places, and they're not properly trained. And so obviously Jackie and Bill want to nix that. But the community involvement that they want to do, they want to bring out elementary schools to be around service dogs, to let them understand that they have different jobs, they cannot be approached by just whoever wanting to pet them, but also the elderly clientele in the area too, because it is important. These dogs are working, they're trained for a purpose, and someone coming up and approaching them is distracting, not only to them, to their handler. And so bringing the community in and having a space to be able to do that, where they can come and be around service dogs and learn about them, is going to be important and would be beneficial to the community. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak on this subject?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Notre Andrews. I am a disabled Army vet, and one thing I learned in the Army, we had an acronym: leadership, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. And sitting here today and listening to Mr. and Mrs. O'Brien, I truly believe that they exhibit all of those qualities. And listening to your lawyer, I know that he's saying that it would be a conflict for y'all to do it. But I truly believe that if they say they're going to do it, sometimes you can't look at the law. You got to look at the integrity of a person and know that they would do the right thing with putting the restrictions on the land if this was approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. This is the first time I've ever done this. Glad to meet all of you. I've seen you in the papers. I've been paying attention. We're getting ready to vote on a lot of things. I'm trying to learn. I'm new. I am a vet myself. I have brought in many of the men out of the Cherry Point area during the Lebanon bombing. I lost my senior chief. I don't know anything about these guys. It's my first time here. And I'm not a very good speaker, but from what I hear, I want to get involved. This is the first time I even heard of this group. So coming to you from someone that's new, that's never even heard of this, I do other work with our vets in other ways, but we need them in all ways. Not just in the human factor, but the animal factor is a big one. I have done nothing but rescue pets all my life with my 4 girls. And now they're grown, and they have animals of their own, and we know how important it is for these animals to find a place that they can be worthy to us as we have been to our community and the service that we have done to our country. And it's very important. So please consider this. I know there's loopholes. You've got to be able to find something. And I hope to help you guys out and get you some support, because if they don't, I will join, and I'm sure there's other people that I know that'll help as well. So it can grow. Get the word out to us. You don't know anything about this stuff, you know. So I thank you again for your time, and good luck to you all in the next election. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so no, I'm not a vet, and no, I don't play one on TV. However, after hearing the testimony from the Craven County citizens about this program, this initiative, I hope that you will take it under careful consideration, and if it is in the scope of your authority, try to work with it. It sounds like it's saving lives. So, in conclusion, all of you who are sitting here today on this board, mayor and everyone, you know, y'all need us, but guess what? We need you too. Thank you, and I'm out.
Anyone else?
Mayor, make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there further discussion?
Can I ask Ms. Rue a question?
Before we close the public hearing?
Oh, I thought we closed already. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Yes, sir, Mr. Ferguson. Go right ahead.
And can we go on the PowerPoint slide? I think it's slide 10.
Which one's 10?
Nope, the one you just passed. It shows the zoning map with existing zoning conditions. Yeah. The red hatching is this proposed parcel, correct? Or this
Yes, sir.
parcel, right? And then blue, which is almost adjacent across the street, that's C5, right? Did planning and zoning consider C5 at all?
C5 wasn't a viable option. There's 2 options of existing zoning districts that would allow them to be able to do in animal use. And let me expand on that as well. In Section 1200 of our table of uses, it lists animal type services, and only one of those types accommodates outside. So that is a use by right in industrial districts in the city of New Bern. Staff was not comfortable saying, let's start an industrial district around parks and schools and things like that. That brought us to the C3. C3, again, would still require a special use permit. There are other ways to look at uses and change uses and things like that. Of course, a text amendment is always an option. Many times if a use is a low impact use, we'd say, hey, let's look at that. Let's make that a special use permit in the existing district. We'd go in, I'd ask for a text amendment. We'd add something on the use chart that would make that a special use permit, and they could go to the Board of Adjustment and be on their way. The Board of Adjustment has the ability to put those conditions, hours of operation, when animals can be outside, etc. The city of New Bern, in my experience, has been very sensitive to any use that is outside, whether it be outdoor dining, outdoor drinking, outdoor animals, and almost all of our uses that involve anything outside require that extra step of going to the Board of Adjustment because they have the ability to add those conditions, and this board does not. C3 was the best fit. Now, I heard something today I got kind of excited about that might seem crazy, but zoning laws do suck right now. They really do suck right now. The state has made it very difficult to make some changes. It has not been tested yet. If you add a use to a district, by right, are you taking a use away from other districts where it's not listed? Scott's nodding his head. We just don't know. We don't know. We are all operating under a very foggy umbrella right now due to the state legislature and their zoning decisions. And that's where we find ourselves right now. So, in listening to everything that has been presented tonight, the only other option I see besides C3 would be for you all to direct me to draft a new zoning district.
Well, or add it to an existing. Adding to C5 would be.
This is a R10 or R15.
This is R10.
This is R10.
So this is.
So, in theory, if we do a text amendment to change or add a definition, add a use, because the issue I have is this has come up now twice in 2 months. You have a fantastic program, training dogs, therapy dogs, service dogs for veterans. And we don't have a use that really fits that.
That is correct.
Whether it's animal training, therapy/service animal training. And it just seems that now this is, again, I've only been here for, I think, all of 4 months, and this has come up twice. And so I wonder if we could do a text amendment that adds a use that addresses animal training or therapy animal training, service therapy animal training, something like that, and then add it to an existing zone. The issue, and I understand, this is R10, so the idea of saying animal training in an R10, meaning we're going to let any residential neighborhood have animal training. Well, that doesn't make sense. I mean, from a just planning perspective. So my question would be in something that's a little less dense, like a C5, which would be right across the street, which would seem to me to be compatible. And so I'm hearing a lot of great things about this use, and I do think there's something we can do. The problem is, I would agree, the General Assembly has greatly restricted local government's ability to zone property, which takes away local control from the people who know the locality better than the folks in Raleigh, I would add. But I would think that if this is R10 and we rezone it to a C5 and then add a use that is something similar to animal training or therapy animal training and then add that use to a C5, that may be a viable option. That would be a up zoning, not necessarily a down zoning. And I'm going to look over to the city attorney. If, in theory, what I said is it potentially could be done.
Yes, sir. That is something worth exploring. So let's zoom out and all try to get on the same page. I'm tracking everything you're saying, and that is a path to go down. But I know the audience is confused when we talk about the legislature and statutes. Sadly, and I will vent like everyone else, we initiated a modernization of our land use ordinance several years ago. and we're working our way through that. And had we completed it, I don't think we'd be here, because one of the tools that we're looking at that the law allows is what's called conditional zoning, where we can do exactly what we were just talking about. This is an area that allows an owner to pitch a very specific use, and we lock down that use exactly like everyone is imagining. But on our way to that solution, a law was passed in Raleigh that froze all land use ordinances in North Carolina as a practical matter, meaning that we have very few tools to change from our current law. Now, I know you have directed me and others to work on that in Raleigh, and we are trying to avail ourselves to the old way of doing it so that we can modernize our statute. But right now, the perfect tool is not available to us. The next best tool is to find a zone, and Alderman Ferguson, I agree with you, the C5 across the street doesn't raise any legal spot zoning issues that would worry me, to advise you against that. So then the next step is for planning and zoning and staff to reflect on whether an outdoor non-kenneling animal use would be consistent with other uses in a C5 zone. And then it would go through a text amendment process, Planning and Zoning Board, then to you, then back to the drawing board in this process to request a C5 for this parcel, not a C3, because right now it's R10. That would be the path. That would be a 2 to 4 month experience if all of that played out, going through the many steps. And not presupposing the answer to that, but just imagining that that is an avenue that may be viable. I will also add to that, as Jess was saying, because of this new statute, new being a year or so ago, basically freezes our zoning. There are legal issues with even trying to do that. There are thinky arguments that present some amount of legal risk to us. And the sad thing is, I can't tell you or advise you what that is, because this law is so very new. I can tell you that Durham is now dealing with some private litigation. They've been sued over some things they've tried to do. So I don't know. But that will be your decision when the day comes to analyze that legal risk. If we want to go down this path of reflecting on a text amendment to the C5 zone. You with me?
I am absolutely with you. C5 currently doesn't have anything outdoor uses, but that's not to say that we can't look into that.
Correct. But there are some similar, fairly intensive uses that feel a lot like this, maybe even more burdensome than this might be. And in the description, we might also put we can think about use as a matter of right versus a special use permit. We can think about that, but maybe our descriptors might help limit that and avoid the need if there are hours and other things imposed. But that's many steps down the road. Long answer to your simple question, I apologize, but yes is the answer to your question.
And if we wanted to tonight, because the issue here is, okay, if C3 is the best alternative, which is not a great alternative because it allows all of these high-density uses, none of which they're going to do, but it's about if not them, but the next owner down the road wants to put a gas station, wants to put a restaurant, wants to put a bar across from the school. I mean, all these issues come up. It's the potential uses for C3 right smack dab in all of this residential area, which doesn't really make sense from a planning perspective. That's the issue with the C3. Exactly. So if this body in discussion tonight wanted to rezone it to C5,
we've not properly noticed that, so that no one knows to be here to talk for or against that. I would just sitting here now on the fly, that would worry me. It's not been considered by P&Z, not been noticed.
Well, Board, I certainly, I can really appreciate the risk that our attorney is advising on when it comes to the rezoning process. I will personally say that if there was ever a use that I would want to go to bat for and defend a C5 zoning, I think this would be the one. And so I think where I'm leaning in this conversation would be to, because C3 doesn't make sense. If we either deny the C3 with direction to staff to initiate a text amendment and rezoning process with all of the comments that we've discussed, that's what I would be interested in, or even just tabling this, directing staff to do a text amendment for therapy/service animal training, and then a potential rezoning of this, and then ask the applicant to go through another rezoning application for C5. And I'm sorry for I am sorry for the headache, and I'm certainly sorry for the issues that our state legislature has created for us here. And so we are trying to think through that.
No, actually, I just appreciate the fact that
No, I don't. I hate to try to cut you off, but the public hearing is closed. So thank you, though.
So Alderman Bryant has red-coded me, so I'm going to stop talking now. But those are my thoughts. So,
board,
do you have time to research that?
I believe, if I remember correctly, I'll try to speak on your behalf. You are month to month on your contract with the realtor, so every month that goes by, they're having to pay earnest money essentially until this closes to keep that property in their possession or potential possession. Is that correct? Okay.
I will add to Alderman Ferguson's note that a rezoning consideration and a text amendment will follow the exact same procedural path. So there won't be two different processes. They will run in tandem.
and if by running in tandem, could it go through the process by the April meeting?
April. We're in March. Any reason it can't be on P&Z in April?
We are in, I'm sorry, May.
I would expect May for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Board, any other comments? Mr. Davis, from a legal concern of doing something that may somewhat contradict the current general statute, who essentially would be the harmed party that would sue us?
An adjoiner, somebody was standing near this property.
So it's not the state?
No, sir.
I wish.
Mr. Attorney,
Yes, ma'am.
this is 160D
Yes, ma'am.
in the legislature.
Yes, ma'am.
So if anybody in the audience would like to write their representative at the
please.
state, please let them know that 160D is making many things more difficult that shouldn't be this difficult.
And just to be very specific, it is the downzoning prohibition, I believe it's 160D/-801, that they passed last year on the last page of the Hurricane Helene recovery bill. So that is the issue if you choose to write your elected officials in Raleigh. I mean, for this, I would, and I don't know if you want it in form of a motion, but I would like to direct staff to initiate a text amendment for service/therapy animal training, include, based on their professional judgment, what that looks like in a C5, and then ask the applicant to go through a C5 rezoning.
I would like to second such a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I have a question. Mr. Davis, the rezoning on News Boulevard for essentially the same use.
Yes, sir.
What was that requested zoning, and would that be affected through this as well?
That could it's going to delay that potentially, but that would this could be a tool for that solution as well. Although there's no C5, is it C4 on that corridor?
One side of the street was consistently zoned C4, I think,
Right.
and they had asked for C3 on the other side with a bunch of residential around it in that situation.
What was that one originally zoned? What was it zoned, or what is it zoned? Because we didn't change it.
It was zoned C3, if I'm recalling correctly, and they stated they were not doing outdoor training, and so we were okay. We said, well, you don't even do this, and then they changed their mind or expanded and thought, well, we might need to do outside training, which puts them in this exact situation now.
I think it was a lesser intense than C3.
Yeah, we need to go to C3.
C4.
Didn't they get it by special use permit?
No.
Or what was the?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. But the answer is yes, this may work, and we can certainly coordinate with them to see which is the more efficient solution. We've learned some more facts on that situation since that hearing that may be a better solution, but we can certainly take that around with them and give them the pros and cons.
Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, excuse me, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Staff clear on that direction?
Yes, thank you. I think that's really a good direction, and we'll reach out to you tomorrow, and we'll get this working. We'll process the different zoning complementary, and we'll start drafting things up, and I'll give you a call tomorrow.
So do we?
Mayor, I know this is a little unorthodox, but could I address the crowd? We have a developing situation outside.
Yes, sir.
Does anybody in this room own a late model gray SUV with very loud mufflers that was parked in the parking lot right back here? Nobody in this room owns that vehicle. I beg your pardon? Late model gray SUV, very loud muffler. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Attorney, do we need to actually do anything officially on item number 14? Do we need to table it? Do we need to reject it? What's the best?
I think with this new direction, I think what I'm hearing from you is you're finding that the C3 is inconsistent. So we might want to put a bow on that motion to adopt a statement of inconsistency, which thereby denies the rezoning, and then we're on to a better path.
And I just don't know, so I apologize. Is there, in denying it and then having them re-engage the process, is that going to incur a fee for?
I was going to talk to the city manager about that, but we might bundle this as one process.
And can we still bundle it if we go ahead and adopt the statement of plan inconsistency?
From my point of view, yes, that's more of a city manager question.
Okay. Yes. All right, well, then that would be my motion then.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call, starting with Alderman Astor.
Alderman Astor?
Yes.
Alderman White?
Yes.
Alderman Best?
Yes.
Alderman Outlaw?
Yes.
Alderman Ferguson?
Yes.
Alderman Bryant?
Yes.
Mayor Odham?
Yes. Motion carries. Next is item number 15, conduct a public hearing and consider adopting an ordinance to amend the electric rate schedule. Mr. Bouchard. You might want to give it just a minute, John.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Charlie, I think if you speak loud into the mic, we might be okay.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor Odham, Board of Aldermen and women. I'd like to take a few minutes tonight and discuss the most recent electric financial study and retail rate plan. This first slide and these first two tables represent, the top one is our wholesale power supply costs, updated as of March 26. I'm looking over on the right-hand column, April 26 through 3/27, and what's being forecasted what's going to happen April 1st of this year is our wholesale power costs are going to go up 4.5%. Concurrently on April 1st, we're going to receive Rider 2024, which is about $1.7 million, almost $1.8 million. The good news is Rider 2022 is coming off, and that was $3.1 million. So that's good news. Below that is debt refund, which is $1.8 million that we're going to be getting credited back on our bill April 1st. So that basically washes out our Rider 1 2024. We'll have a little bit of an extra refund there. So that's good news there. October, Rider 1 2023 comes off. That was $2.6 million, and we're anticipating Rider 1 2025 is coming on at about $807,000. That'll be voted on by the NECEMPA board in October. Most likely they'll make that effective October 1st. Below that, that DEP-DEC is the Duke Energy Progress, Duke Energy Carolina merger that people have been talking about and you've been hearing about. That's a real wild card. NECEMPA, that goes into effect January 1st. And if that goes into effect January 1st, NECEMPA will receive additional costs to their wholesale power supply contract. Those costs will be passed down to membership. NECEMPA can't absorb those on their own. So I'm estimating New Bern's share of those costs would be $2.4 million in the first year, and as you can see along the bottom, it changes every year for 5 years and then eventually washes out after 5 years. So going to the right side of that, in April of 27 through March of 28, NECEMPA is forecasting a 5.5% rate increase, 4.5% on future years. And then below that is my forecast of those riders, those various riders, toggling on new riders and old riders dropping off. All of that information does not consider any regards to the Duke Energy Progress, Duke Energy Carolina merger. If there's savings involved with that, that could be reflected down the road. If there's additional costs with that, that could be reflected down the road. But this forecast as of March, as I stand here before you right now, that's uncertainty. The Duke Energy, all of this has been forecasted into our rate plan and into the rate study that we did this year that I'll be presenting to you tonight. Below that is the recommended retail path that I discussed in July of 25. And in August, we did a 3% rate increase to our retail rates, and we included the PCA. And at that time, I was forecasting 3% rate increases for the next 5 years, along with keeping the PCA current and active. I think what you'll find as I move through this presentation is that 3% has been reduced to 2%. So those forecasts have been changed. Utility Financial Services or Solutions helped us with this year's study. They've been doing it for the last 3 years at least. I believe they've done a really excellent job for us. And included in their financial study, what we asked them to do was financial projections of the electric utility, cost of service study, develop a rate track forward, and include some steps towards rate modernization and rate design. And this is something that I recommend that we continue to do every year. There are changes, and I don't think we want to overbake or underbake our rates. We want to charge fair rates and make them defendable and balanced. And I think the best practice is to continue to review these financial studies on an annual basis. For example, last year I was forecasting 3%, and this year overall I'm recommending 2%. So there was a change there. This slide shows the historical investment into the electric system and its depreciation. Overall, the electric system is constrained by its years, its age, and that impacts our expenses and our rates. Historically, in 2018, the investment was worth about $80 million, and by the end of 2026, we expect that investment to be worth about $102 million. So about $2 million growth per year over those 8 years, which is pretty consistent with what we've been budgeting for operating capital over that same time period, so that kind of makes sense there. The net book value has grown $4 million over the last 8 years, and the system has aged by 6% over the same 8 years, and it's now depreciated now to 61%. This slide shows the overall recommendation, trying to get the bottom line up front. And it's a overall average 2% rate increase that includes all of our budgeted operations and capital, as well as the 5-year capital plan that you've heard me mention before. And I just want to take some time with the wording here. Overall 2% rate adjustment. That's an average increase across all the rates. It will vary across the different rate classes, and I'll get into that detail in a couple slides down the road. In the past, we've done 3% rate increases, 6% rate increases, and that 3% or 6%, say, you could take that percentage and apply that, multiply that by every rate component in the ordinance, and you'd get the right answer. You can't do that here. It's not the same math. The difference is that we recognized the cost difference between rate classes, and it costs us a different amount of money to operate and serve each of those individual rate classes. And I'll break that down a little bit more as we go through this.
Charlie, on a separate matter, though, the 2027 merger deal has nothing to do with what you're talking about, right?
The only factor I have included is the Duke reorganization charge that will go into effect January 1st if that merger goes through, which is $187 million over 5 years to Nekempa. Bern pays.
That we, for all that money, wouldn't see any benefit, cost savings till probably year 6. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what they're forecasting. So invest $187 million, maybe we'll see some savings 5 or 6 years from now. I backed up to the original slide, I believe. I just wanted to make sure that I covered it. In this plan, our debt coverage ratio stays above the targeted 1.45, the minimum requirements. Our operating income stays healthy, and our cash balances stay above the target minimum, and our system depreciation becomes less aged with those capital improvements. Oops, I'm going backwards. Bear with me, I got lost between the screens and my eyeglasses. Here we go. So this table shows if you want to consider the rate path, consider a rate path with no increases, 0% rate increase, but you're still interested in investing into the system, investing capital into the system's reliability. Not a good plan. It seems hardly feasible to me. Our debt coverage ratio drops below the targeted minimum, 1.45, less than 1% by 2030. The operating income drops below optimal and goes negative by 2031. And cash balances are expected to drop below minimum down to almost 19 days in 2031. So I don't think that's a real feasible plan. The other option is This table shows if you don't want any rate adjustments and you want to remove the capital that's needed for the system's reliability, all the financial targets remain healthy, but the system is depreciated to 65% in 2031. So your debt coverage ratio stays in good shape, your operating income stays above the optimal levels, your cash balances stay healthy, but your system depreciates. So for me, this option is all about risk management. And the bet is that the reliability of the electric system, which is 65% depreciated, has enough capacity to keep service available on the hottest days and the coldest days of the year. We're also betting on that 50-year-old transformers at Garfield Substation are going to keep on working, and we're betting on that regional growth will stop or slow down or even shed some load because we are at capacity.
Or we relinquish our right to service and let Duke service new growth.
Yeah, we have to reduce load. So this table shows the overall 2% average increase and how it impacts each rate class. We were able to do this due to the cost of service, and some rate classes require it's a different cost to serve different rate classes. And at the end of that study and considering our financial needs, overall the residential rate class, we're recommending a 0.9% rate increase. Small business is 5.2%. Unmetered services, which is basically street lighting for the most part, and area lighting, that's 2.1%. Medium business class, 3.2%, and our large business class, 2.1%. We're also able to take some steps towards modernizing our rates by removing stepped energy and demand charges and just put those charges into one block. We've also been able to increase the basic customer service charge to absorb more of our fixed operating costs, get that expense out of our energy costs while reducing our energy rates at the same time. This puts us closer in line with our energy rates to what wholesale pricing is. If we're not there yet, that'll take some time, but ultimately my goal is to try to get us designed so that our wholesale rates are passed directly through to our retail rates, and then your basic customer charge recovers your operating expenses, which is fixed. So less risk, less variables in that. Quick comparison, considering the residential rate class, with this, on the residential rate class, this 0.9% rate increase, sub-inflationary rate increase, we're still going to be somewhere, we're right now right around 15.5 cents per kilowatt hour. We'll still hover around that same spot, while Duke is trending up towards 17 cents per kilowatt hour. Looking at it from an overall cost, this is all based on the average customer, and our average customer, residential customer, does use right around 1,000 kilowatt hours per month. We'll be hovering somewhere between $153 a month to $151 a month. Duke, as you can see, is trending upwards towards $171 a month. You'll notice that little dip coming up in 2027. That's the PCA. It's been trending down. We continue to expect it to trend down, and so there's a little bit of a change there based on power supply recoveries by the PCA. So, in conclusion, I'm recommending the 2% overall average increase to electric rates using cost of service adjustments. And as I mentioned, they vary across rate components, and those adjustments vary across rate classes. Some small steps towards rate modernization, which includes removing tiered blocks for energy and demand, bundling those costs into one block, energy and demand charges, and reducing our energy rate components as well. Continuing of the power cost adjustment charge, and just some administrative work I'd like to accomplish at the same time, remove our load profile data service schedule, LDS. It's underperforming. It's a pass-through cost from the service provider, and that service provider has pulled back their services. So that offering is really going away. The good news is I hope to roll out something very similar with our capabilities in our customer information system. And I'd like to make this all recommended all be effective April 1st of 2026. With that, I'd be happy to try to answer any of your questions.
Does the board have questions?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
As we move forward with this discussion, I ask that we keep in mind the many seniors and disabled resident and family on fixed income in Ward 2 and throughout the city. For many of them, even a slight increase can create real hardship, and I hope we will continue to explore every possible ways to protect and support our most vulnerable citizens. My first question is, how can we guarantee that the residents are safeguarded and will not have to decide between electricity and their essential needs before approving of any increase?
Well, I can't make any guarantees. I can't guarantee their finances. I can't guarantee what our rates are going to do tomorrow, but I can promise you that the staff works diligently to keep rates low and affordable. Thanks to Colleen, she helped me with a couple slides here that discuss some of our financial assistance programs that we can offer to folks should they find themselves in need. Catholic Charities, Coastal Community Action, Craven County Department of Social Services, Disabled Veterans, Navy Marine Corps, Relief Society, Religious Community Services, Salvation Army. I think this board also just recently approved a transfer of or spending of $10,000 to our Roundup program that we can use to assist customers in need. So I don't have anything directly to offer them. I don't have any discounts. I don't have any subsidies, but there are programs available, and we are very much in line with those programs to assist those folks when they need it.
Can you just briefly describe for the public the Roundup program?
The Roundup program is an agreement with Religious Charity Services, and customers at their own choosing, they can elect to round up their bill to the nearest dollar or nickel. We had one customer that was rounding up $250 every month. They just recently left, so it's a bummer. That money that we collect from them, we hold in the bank. And those that are in need can go to Religious Charity Services and ask for help. And if they deem that necessary help is warranted, then they send us a voucher, or they give us a voucher asking for us to contribute to give them some relief on their bill. And then we pay their portion of that bill out of that program that people have donated to.
When you talk about the Roundup program, is it anywhere on the bill that says that you can round it up and what you round it up for and where it would go?
Not your bill, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'll be honest with you, we have probably not marketed that as well as we could have, and that's changing. The timing of your bill, it fell short of those most recent updates. The bills that are being issued out today have that message on them, how to get in touch with charity services, and how to also volunteer or contribute their roundups. As you know, we just changed billing service providers, so there was a bit of a lag there, but we can do a better job at it, and we are trying to market that a little bit better so people know how to sign up and they know how to use it.
I have one more question. As these partnership with programs like LIHEAP, which stands for Low Income Home Emergency Assistance Program, or Duke Energy to provide the direct assistance or energy saving support, how would you direct a resident to go to those groups?
I don't have any subsidies to offer. I can tell them I have looked at similar programs with Duke, and those customers that are with Duke, if they look at their bill, there's a rider on there called Low Income Energy Assistance. And every customer at Duke is paying money for that low income energy assistance program. Duke then takes that money, and to the best of my knowledge, it might be a little bit off track on here, but I believe their customers go through DSS or some state services, and they qualify for the LIHEAP program and the critical care program, I think it's called. And if they qualify for that through the state's application, then Duke reads that application, and Duke then will award them or help them with, I believe, is about $45 a month, and then there's a cap on it for, I think it's maybe 8 months. Don't hold me to that. I've just started looking at the program about a month or two ago, so, and I still have some questions on it, but that's where they should go for the Duke help.
Next.
Mr. Bouchard, are you considering adding that option to our bill in the city? I was having in mind people who pay their bills online, so I don't see my bill and think, oh, I would like to contribute to the Roundup program. So is that something that online payers could opt into, or?
We would have to probably discuss that. You'd probably have to give me the authority to design that rate, that rider. That's something that the board would have to agree upon. I think the first step is to see how that $10,000 that the utility donated to the Roundup program is utilized. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it goes to good use, and that it could use more funding. And I guess from that point we could discuss if additional methods are needed. If you want me to work at a faster pace, I can do that as well.
I would like to discuss it with other board members. Maybe not this evening, but I definitely am interested in that.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie, did I understand you to say that all Duke customers receive that rider?
I understand. That's the way I read the rate. Residential, commercial, industrial. It's a rider on all their rates now. Don't hold me to this, but I think it's a flat fee for commercial and industrial, and I think it's energy related for residential, but please don't hold me to that.
So that would be built into their rate and not a separate rider on the.
It is a separate rider.
So I'm looking at my bill and I don't have that.
You don't see it? Cap car, is there rider car?
I've got basic customer charge. I've got energy charge at 1 kilowatt hour amount. Then I've got another energy charge at a different kilowatt hour. I've got a clean energy rider, a storm recovery charge, and a summary of rider adjustments.
It's in the summary of rider adjustments.
I mean, that's what Duke does. Duke plays games. They give a rate, and then they throw all these riders on there so they can say that they have a good rate. But even with that, we're lower, correct?
Correct.
So, Charlie, can you go back to the slide that you're recommending us?
I'll try.
Yeah, was that the 2%?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that the slide with the 2% for 5-year rate?
Is that the one where you want to see each rate class, or just the overall recommendation?
Yeah, that's the overall recommendation.
Yes, ma'am.
No, the actual.
Oh, okay.
Projected. Yeah, Go back. Okay, that is what you're recommending for us to
Yes, and
approve.
I want to be clear, I'm only recommending 1 year, the first year, 2027. I am, trying to do some due diligence in forecasting. If nothing changes in the world, nothing changes with our power supply costs, nothing changes with inflation, I'm 100% right. I'd be before you next year asking for another 2%, but that would be next year.
And with that 2%, that will put us at over the required days of use, which is what, 90, to put us at 106 of working days?
This rate adjustment this year, I believe, will end at 106.
Okay.
If we go into next year and do another 2%, I'm forecasting we're at 120.
Okay.
Charlie, for the benefit of the public, our last rate increase was effective August the 1st.
Yes, sir.
So if someone got a bill in November, December, January, February, and the bill amount was different, it was because they consumed more electricity, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm also hearing a lot of pressures from gas customers as well, even some customers that have gas heating and electrical appliances. This last cold spell that we got, it's affecting everybody. Once again, I've said average kilowatt hours for the residential customer is 1,000 kilowatts per month. If you looked at your last month's bill, you say I'm crazy because you were way over. Most people were way over 1,000 kilowatts if you're electric heat. But over the course of the year, and this month is a good month. We're kind of in between heating and cooling. You'll see those kilowatt hours come down, and the more kilowatt hours you consume, the higher your bill is.
Any more questions from the board before we open the public hearing?
Charlie, presentation I think you provided in the backup, it shows an 11-year history of the rate changes. It shows a 3% decrease in July 1st, 2015, 12% decrease September 1st, 2015, and a 1.25% decrease April 2016, and then another 1.5% decrease July 1st, 2017. Do you know, or can you explain why those decreases back in 2015 through 2017?
I wasn't here then, but I think they were responding to changes in wholesale price and sale of assets, and maybe inflationary rates at that time.
Mayor/Alderman Outlaw may remember, I believe the first decrease that we had in our rate was simply due to some efficiencies within the electric department. That was before the buyout of the assets. So that's where you went in and trimmed the proverbial fat in the government operation and slimmed it down and got more efficient. That's where the first decrease came from.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, at this time we'll open a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak about the electric rate, please come forward.
Good evening, folks. My name is Laurel Russo. I've been a resident here in New Bern and Craven County over the last 35 years. When we first moved here, and we're looking at property inside the city of New Bern, our friends were all aghast because they said highest utility bills ever. And, it is what it is. You had to buy power from somebody, and you had to make enough money to be able to provide that service to residents. I understand that. I'm 68. I live on a fixed income. When I say fixed, I have Social Security, and I also work part-time. I'm also someone who has historically been energy cheap. My kids complained about it the whole time they were growing up. Lights not being left on, doors not being open, thermostats being at reasonable temperatures. But the rate increase that we've had in the last year has been crazy. I am normally, as I said, very energy conservative, but my house has not been over 64 degrees in 2 years. And I'm telling you, it's cold. I used 500 kilowatt hours less electricity in December than I did the previous year, and the bill was almost twice what it was the previous year when you add in the increases to water and everything. But the electric bill is astronomical. Ms. Bryant mentioned the population here in New Bern of seniors, retirees, and people living on fixed incomes. And I believe there's another thing that needs to be added into that, and that is people that live as tenants. Throughout my residency, I have owned, up until the last 6 years, where I opted to rent because I did not want to have to constantly battle maintenance of a home. But that means I have no control over the HVAC being inspected annually, or even every couple of years, or actually ever. It means I have no control whether weather stripping around my doors and windows is effective, unless I want to pay out of pocket to do that. Windows leaking. These are problems that people that rent have, that make controlling an electric bill almost impossible. I'm not saying my landlord's a slumlord, but it's a rental, and he doesn't maintain it the way he does for his wife and kids, any more than the home that you live in is the same home that if you owned a rental would be. So to say that 2% increase is needed, I understand growth. I've seen the city grow. We have handled incredible changes, and for the better, energy-wise and grid-wise, since I first moved here. But this is not the time. You, as a city, us as a city, that bank account of the city is better able to take hold on this energy bill thing than your average tenant, resident in New Bern is. And I would like to address, this gentleman said all these programs. There are a lot of programs out there. I have applied for many of them, and I come in exactly $2,000 to $4,000 more per year income than I can qualify to get any assistance. So when I get an electric bill and it's $271, that's like I'm working 2 weeks to pay an electric bill. To put that into perspective for you. And I know that you folks own your homes, and you're all paying high bills too. But for a large population here in New Bern that are tenants, it's undoable. We are in between where we can easily access help and needing help. When I was doing real estate back in the 80s, I would conservatively say we probably had a 30% rental population here in New Bern. I don't think that number's gone down any. That's a lot of population to be making a daily choice. What do I do? Am I going to pay the electric bill, or do I go ahead and pay this? Do I get groceries? Do I go to Tabernacle? Do I go here? Do I go there? I understand that things go up. I am not naive. And I have seen the result of all the increases and the improvements that we've made. But I would just like to urge the board that this is not the time to do that. It's too much at one time. Someone's got to eat it. I can't. And I know I'm not alone. So I thank you for your consideration and hope that you will consider just tabling the raise until, let's look it up next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
concern is, didn't Mr. B say we just had a rate increase in August?
Yes.
Yes.
So 6 months later, we got to do another rate increase? What makes us think that we can afford it? You know, gas prices just went through the roof. If you try to buy something in the grocery store, $100 don't mean anything now. Okay? I understand things go up. I'm not naive. But you're going to tell me between August and February, the price of electricity has hit to where we have to raise it 2% across the board? I'm not saying mismanagement, but we just did a rate increase. That's what I'm looking at. My pay don't go up like you guys are asking. I didn't get a raise 6 months in 6 months. How are we supposed to pay for this rate increase as a citizen if I'm paying for the one in August? You know, I serve on one of the boards in the city, and they tell me that the median income, or what they consider poverty level, is $49,000. I can't believe that. But that's what HUD said it is. I know for a fact that we have people in New Bern that don't make nowhere close to that. They don't make half of that. And they're working 2 and 3 jobs to try to make what they're doing now survive. How are they going to pay for this rate increase? How am I going to pay for this rate increase? I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. I know what I'm getting month to month. We've budgeted it out. But you're asking me to pay a 2% increase from an increase in August. If I can't afford it, how's somebody else going to afford it? We really need to look at this. I understand everything goes up. I'm with it. I see it. Every time I go to the gas station, every time I go to the grocery store, and I come home with 2 bags, and I don't spend $150, and there's nothing in those bags. Somewhere it's got to stop. We got to look out for each other. The Bible tells us what we do for the least of me, you do for me. And we got to do something, people, because we're going to be in a serious hum here come April if we put this 2% increase in effect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I came up, basically, Sharon kind of made mine a little easier because some of the things she said I was going to say. And actually, I'm an award, so.
You want my bill?
No, I ain't going to pay it either. But anyway, the reason I came up to say this, first, one thing I want y'all to make me clear on this. I know some years back, Duke was supposed to build an energy building, a factory, or whatever it was. And whatever it was that happened 20-something years back, and we ended up having to pay for something that they did build or didn't build. Is that bill already paid, or are the city still paying for that? I think it was under your leadership.
That was
when it was
paid off in July 25.
It is paid off. Okay, that part is good.
That's why there was a 12.5% rate reduction.
Okay, that part I needed to be straight on. I would say this. I would say no to the increase. And the reason why, it makes sense, but it don't make sense. And I'm going to tell you why. Last month, I'm at a lot of civic organizations, and I try to find resources for people. This lady had a $600 light bill. She went to the Catholic charity. They only offered her $75. That didn't do anything. I had a family member crying. I'm retired, I'm disabled. I put a little money aside every month so I could stay in my house. What people don't understand, they say you buy something and it's yours, but it's not. Because if you can't pay your taxes, they take it from you. It goes in foreclosure. If my house, my 2 homes weren't paid for, I wouldn't have them. Because I don't make a month what I did when I was working. Now this family member, the little money I put aside, I had to give them over $300-something to keep them in their home and their children somewhere to stay. I don't have that kind of money, but I know I have that heart. The same money I put away that I need to pay my taxes this year, God gonna make a way. But my thing as far as this right here is there's a lot of people suffering. I had a medical condition. I went to the light bill place. I said, look, I'm gonna be using a lot of water. What can you do to help me? Oh, we don't have anything to help you. The same thing if somebody is on a ventilation machine and they using so much energy, we should have something aside to help that person, but we don't. But the same way that you are asking for an increase, you could take that same thing and find a way to cut back on some things that the city does, to find some money to make that difference up. Sometimes we're in a deficit as far as the city, but when you start seeing new trucks, you're seeing new this, you're seeing new that. You put up gazebos in the graveyard, and you try to bury your dead, and you got to pay a fee to sit under that gazebo. We got to find a way to stop double taxing people. We're taxpayers, and it seems like you're double dipping. We got to go to the rec center. We got to pay for this. You go here, you got to pay for that. I don't understand that. But when you see a family struggling, and I heard one of the gentlemen say about the war, we're here again asking for a rate. But if this war don't end no time soon, if this war don't end no time soon, the gas is going to continue to go up. The light bill is going to continue to go up. We're buying, I think aren't we buying energy from Duke?
Yes, sir.
Is it a way that we could figure out how to be self-sufficient or not?
Not self-sufficient, because I don't think the city's going to get into the generation business, but there are some alternatives. We could look at other suppliers and providers. However, Charlie, the soonest that we could do that is what year?
2035.
2035 would be the soonest that we could do that.
Wow. Okay, my last statement is this. Whatever this board could do to help your citizens, like the young man said, it's things in place, but they never let the public know. I heard something years back about a round-off, but it was other people that paying a little more on their bill or to round up the figure. Am I right about that or not?
Correct.
Okay. But what I want to see is the seats that you're sitting in. Use every bit of your power to help these citizens out here, because it's a lot of people. I'm trying to work on a day center now. I'm tired of seeing people sitting out in the hot weather. I'm tired of seeing them sleeping in the graveyard. I'm tired of seeing them sleep under the homes. These are people I'm helping every day. But we as a city could do better. And my last statement is the Bible said that the poor will be with us always. And we're going to give an account. We have to give an account if we don't serve these people right. And I thank you for the time that you're giving me.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board of Aldermen and Mayor.
Good afternoon.
I just have one question. My understanding is the city agreed to commit $20 million as a match to the federal government's Choice Neighborhood Grant on March 6th, I think. That's when the Housing Authority and the city submitted the grant. And $2.5 million is designated to the electric services for infrastructure. Is that accurate?
Sure.
Based on the plans of the CNI with Trent Court coming back into play, if anything happens with the Days Inn property, adding the infrastructure in to service those areas is most likely, yes, accurate. That would be the cost to provide that.
Thank you. And to follow up with that, is this rate increase associated in any way to that?
Mr. Bouchard?
Not that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is what I actually came for. I just want to make some things that confuses me, some things that are just doesn't make sense. 1970s, I was raised by parents that taught us how to save on our electricity. And I'm not going to lie, we're prospering. My family's prospering. My kids are grown. They're doing well. And we're trying to help them get through those little struggles here and there. As parents are having to take a lot of our kids in and help them out because they can't do anything. So I try to set the example for them. But my problems throughout, it doesn't matter where I came from, Energy, just Duke, here, Havelock, it don't matter. I came from Kentucky, Germany, you name it. Always an issue. Actually, Energy was a little bit different than Europe than here. But actually, two things that confuses me the most, that I always go into my office here when I have to pay my bill, and I know it's not their fault, but I'm trying to find measurements. I mean, running out and read my meter, and then this last snow that came up, I was suggesting now to go out every day to read my meter. So it's not user-friendly for us to get some kind of measurement that we can know where we stand on our bill. Because every individual uses a different amount of electricity, depending on your lifestyle. So, user-friendly on measuring our bill. We get a house bill, we know what we've got to pay. Car bill, we know what we have to pay. Even our cell phone has a database where they will text you and say, okay, you're getting out over. All right, kids, give me your phones, and I can reduce it. Every other bill I have in my house is measured somehow. Electricity, no way. Can't measure it. Not very well at all. The other concern I have is, please don't tell me any more about the snow. Because I can tell you and show you months where it was cold, extremely cold, with no snow. And my bill was not as high. And then I really got upset when I put in 16 brand new windows in my home. And it didn't help a bit. It went up. And I'm as frugal, just like this other lady said. I don't even have children in my home anymore. Our husbands have passed away. And why is it still so high? Just for two old frugal ladies in the home. I don't understand. That's what doesn't make sense to me. Will somebody please find a way for us to be able to measure our electric? If you go forward and do all these kind of things, I understand. Because like I said, I'm even prospering. Even though I don't work either, I'm on a set income, and I'm having to adjust all the time. So I have to take away this or I have to take away that so I can pay my bills. We're all being responsible. All I'm asking is for the people that are running these companies, these energy bills, to be more responsible to their citizens and customers. Thank you. And have a good night.
Anyone else like to speak?
Hello, my name is Jackie Kennedy. This is my first time coming up here to ask a question. But recently with the weather, my mother, who's an elderly person, has gotten at least 3 bills. One was like $168, and it went up to $2 something, and then $340 some dollars, and this last bill was $400 and some dollars. She's 84 years old on a fixed income. Now, how do you expect for her or any other person, whether they're elderly or not, pay a bill that's $400 and some dollars? And when I called the electric company, because when I saw the second one, I'm like, what is going on? You know, how do you have it set? And I've told her, keep it at this temperature. And it's ridiculous that it's cold in the house, but we're trying to lower, keep it so that it doesn't come on all the time, so the bill doesn't go up, but yet the bill keeps increasing. So when I called and asked for assistance, they told me in order to get someone to come out and check the meter, it was going to cost $90 or $94. And I was furious because I want to know, you're already paying for this bill, it's increasing. Why do you have to pay a $90 fee to have someone to come out and look at your meter? And then they said,
do you remember who said that?
No, sir. Usually I write things down, but that day it just made me angry, and I'm like, what do you mean?
The reason I ask is we offer a free energy audit, so we do that for free. I can't imagine why in the world we would tell somebody we would charge them to come check their meter. Mr. Bouchard?
We do charge for meter testing. You want a valid meter test. If you disagree that the meter is working properly.
You probably need to come to the microphone so everybody can hear.
That's still ridiculous.
We do charge for...
Can't hear you, Charlie.
We do charge for meter testing. If a customer requests that they suspect that the meter is performing incorrectly, and they insist on it, we will pull the meter, we'll test the meter, and there's a charge for that. We'll put a new meter in for them, and give them the test results for that meter. We do offer a free energy audit, so maybe some of the confusion got caught in how we were communicating and what your needs may have been. But we'd gladly do a home energy audit if you want to give me your contact information afterwards.
Well, I continued my little investigation, what I would call investigation, and finally I talked to the management services personnel, and I said, well, something's wrong. You're telling me there's nothing wrong with the unit. When I called the electric company, they're telling me that it's something on your end. So, it's like nobody's trying to help. Yet my mother has a $300 and some bill that has to be paid. So we decided we're not paying $90. Because, it's $348, then you want another $90. I said, well, I'll pay it if you want me to. She's like, no, we're not going to pay that. Eventually, I kept going back until someone says, well, we'll come out and we'll look at the unit. And they replaced the unit, and when I went to the electric company, they printed me out the wattage, how it was increasing every day. It was getting higher and higher and higher. So there was something wrong, but they eventually replaced the unit. So hopefully I'm going to look at this next bill that comes out, and if I should see a drastic change, a drop. And if not, then something else must be going on. But I just think it's ridiculous that you would charge a fee. We're already paying all this money. Now you're talking about an increase. And then you want us to pay for them to come out and look at something. It's just ridiculous. It's like you don't get a break. And you have to have electricity. And I refuse to sit in a house that's freezing cold and still have a bill that's $400. That's just ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Alderman White, you have a question?
Yes, Mr. Bouchard, right now the residential tier is getting a 0.9% increase this go around, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not 2%.
Correct.
But it's also some other unknown because we have the PCA. So it's 0.9% plus whatever the PCA is.
Correct. The PCA continues, but the PCA is trending down, as I showed in the one chart. So if that continues, your overall cost could be actually a little bit lower based on 1,000 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
Because the PCA is going down. But the 2% only, we're not adjusting the PCA up another 2%.
Right, because you don't know what the PCA would be because you don't even know what rate we're being charged until several days after the month is over.
Correct, and the PCA adjusts monthly based on what the previous month's power supply costs were.
Right, so to adjust the woman who came up just a couple people ago, you don't know exactly what the rate is until the month ends.
Correct.
So, like, there is no way in America or in New Bern, North Carolina, that we can measure that, what our rate is going to be. That's just the way that it is.
Our wholesale rate?
What is the other rate besides the wholesale?
Retail.
Okay. So we don't know what the wholesale rate is going to be until after, but we do know the retail.
We know what the rate is, but we don't know what the bill will be.
Okay.
Similar to our customers, who they use their energy in February and get a high bill, and now we're in March and it's warmed up a little bit, but they don't get their February bill until March, and it's a surprise because there's a lag.
Right. And I was wondering, and then is it possible that we could even shift it to a 0.5 and then shift the other 0.4 to another tier? Is that possible to provide some relief for at least 6 months? Because, I mean, I hear people talking about the uncertainty with the price of gas and with the unpredictability of being in a war. And so I'm just asking for any creative solutions to move this 0.9 downward for the residential tier.
And anything's possible. I'm not prepared to do rate design tonight standing in front of you.
How long did it take you to create this rate design?
Several months. And overall, the 2% is expected to collect $1.3 million.
And that is primarily for our 61% depreciation state of our energy delivery systems.
Correct. It'll give us enough revenue to absorb the cost increase on our wholesale power supply costs. We can absorb that. We can maintain healthy operating cash, so we have enough cash to operate with. And we can pay the debt service on the first year of the 5-year capital plan, which includes replacement of the Glen Burnie substation transformers and start of construction on the new substation.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Bouchard, I want to go back to Ms. Kennedy's. When she stated that her mother's light bill kept on going up each month, it increased. Now, moving forward, if a customer calls in and requests that there's something going on with things going on with their meter or whatever, and you send, I know you said it costs us, $90? And if you send a city customer service rep out to examine that meter, and you find that there is a problem with that meter, will you reimburse that customer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. We will. Go ahead.
So you will replace the meter, and then you will reimburse that customer?
Yes, ma'am. Of course, yes. We want to find the problems. We want an accurate bill. The fact that we charge for a meter test is very, very rare. We can, most of the time, resolve the questions, resolve the problems, find the cause, and we determine that the meter is okay, and both the customer and us agree upon that without having to go to that expense.
And I had another question. We have a lot of citizens here tonight that is concerned because of the rate increases. All right. Can you, and I think they deserve to have an answer, Can you do a brief synopsis of why we as a city are in the current state that we're in and having to increase these rates on our citizens, on our customers?
Well,
and I know it's a long process, but I mean, this has a lot to do with the years that we as a city did not increase our rates. And I know it's a Duke factor as well.
I'm trying to understand your question.
Okay. Can you explain to the citizens here that why we're in this position now of having to increase our rates as we are doing here within the 5-year plan, why we're at this point of increasing these rates? Because over the last 8-9 years we didn't increase the rates?
That all has a compounding effect, and it adds up over the years. But ultimately, why we want to do this is we want to invest in the reliability of the system so that we have power on when we need it. Like I mentioned before, we have 50-year-old transformers at Glen Burnie substation. We need another substation on the other side of town to serve the capacity that we have, and have some redundancy so that we can move load around, so that if your feeder, your circuit, your block is off of power, we can transfer power and reroute it to you so we have time to fix it and work on it. And that involves moving that power across the Trent River. And I'm doing everything I can to keep it on. So that's because if you don't do any rate increase and you don't do any capital, you're just waiting time to see what fails next on the 65% depreciated system.
And I'm not trying to blame anyone.
I know.
This probably was before you were even with the city. If we, and somehow along the way, some of our capital improvement got dropped, okay, then we wouldn't be in such a state that we are in now because of the old age of our infrastructure. And like I said, I know it stems back to years that, as a city, and I'm not trying to blame anyone, but the facts are the facts. If whomever our electric director were at the time, our city manager at the time, the board of aldermen at the time, if we had invested and kept track and did more of investing in our electric system, then we would be a little far ahead than we are now.
That's true, but how conservative can we be? And if we all had
moving forward. Correct,
and it's all forecasting what the future is, and my predecessor in this position, I don't know if they saw the load growth that we're actually seeing right now. So many variables involved with that, but that's why I think it's so important to have this conversation on an annual basis, just to do a health check to see where the utility finances are, what the recommended rate path is, and then make the right decisions.
As you are trying to do right now.
Yes, ma'am.
For us, for the future, because we don't know what the unexpected is going to be.
Correct. And last year, I was asking for a 3% rate increase, and for residential in all classes. This year, I'm asking for a 0.9% rate increase in the residential class. The reason the timing is constrained, or where it appears close together, is because the awkwardness of our own operating budget and our own cycle about budgeting our funds is off a cycle for rate planning and our wholesale power supply costs. So I'm trying to get us in line with when adjustments are made on our wholesale power supply costs. We're in line with that on our retail side, so that there's not an additional lag of uncollected power supply expenses that we're trying to recover in rates months down the road. And as we all know, as you know, this process of discussing rates and having public hearings and doing the rate study, it takes several months to go through that process. And I'm just trying to get things timed back up so April 1st, we can bet on our wholesale power cost rate adjustments. I would like to be in line with that same April 1st date so we don't have a lag in under-recovered power supply costs. Does that make any sense?
Public hearing is still open if anybody else would like to speak.
Good afternoon again. I also had a question than anything, just listening to everything. It sounds like the rate increases is geared towards the future, sort of like a squirrel gathering acorns. Not that we need them right now, but for down the road. And we know that energy is a big business, it's a big subject. Instead of putting it on the consumer, would there be any type of grants or anything out there? Because it sounds like it's just easier to say, well, I got you where I want you because I got what you need, versus exploring other options.
Mr. Bouchard, your capital improvements plan that's listed on the page, how much of that is maintenance versus addition to the current electric utility?
None of the first 3 years are maintenance. Some may argue the last years 4 and 5 may be maintenance, but I would argue differently. Those are what we want to do in years 4 and 5 is upgrade undersized conductors, some of them overhead, and also take the opportunity to underground those conductors for better reliability when we're changing the size. I wouldn't call that system maintenance, but you're not going to see a wow factor out of that. You're just going to see more reliability so I can use those conductors to reroute power. And right now I'm constrained.
And you applied for a EDA grant for $100 million, I believe?
It was close to it at the time. I think the grant went in somewhere around $78 million, and those programs have ended. The first time we started talking about this, I was using it was a different type of grant. I forget which one. It was Department of Energy. But at that time, maybe 2019-ish, we talked about the system capacity improvement project, and we created a project fund. We've actually purchased the land to do that. I was estimating the project to be $10 million at the time, and now I'm estimating it to be 20. So, and none of it has to do with. We will get some additional capacity. We'll get some extra nuts out of it, but that's not the overall goal. And the overall goal right now is we are limited on our capacity. And if any of you have received my text this winter, when we got into February, and I was asking for energy conservation, and I was sending out energy alerts, the next message that I was going to send out was going to be blackouts may occur. It's real. So.
That was all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Alderman Bryant was the second. Ms. Blanco. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now closed. What's the pleasure of the board on item number 15? Charlie, I have a question if nobody else does right now. The lady that spoke that said her kilowatt usage had gone down, but her bill had gone up by $500, I think is what she said. She also threw in there, I think, something about her total bill. So that was water, sewer, trash, things like that. Is there, with this PCA, I'm not an electrical engineer, so you're going to have to help me here. With the PCA, is there any way possible, short of a malfunction, that somebody can use less electricity and their bill go up that amount?
I don't see how. We charge on a per unit basis.
And we haven't, our last rate increase was August the 1st is when it went into effect.
That's when it went into effect, yes, sir.
So anybody that got a bill August, September, October, November, December, January, February, all of that would be based off the same rate.
Depending on the timing of it, some of them may saw it in September.
Okay.
We have various billing cycles. They don't start on a calendar month, so there could have been some variations with that.
So changes in people's bill would be because of consumption or either a malfunction of equipment.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Board?
I think this, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I think that all of the issues, and we've been talking about it for the past few months, and residents have voiced their concerns about the rates, cogeneration, capital improvements, all of those things really, I think we have to dig in more. And so, it doesn't help with the current rate, the rate update here for tonight, but it's something I just want to put a pin in that for the next item that we talk about, because I think that is extremely relevant. But it's my understanding, after reading that rate study from our consultant, and with our recommendation from the director, this 2% increase, which is again 0.9% on the residents, on a residential customer, so not 2%, but 2% on average for all the classes of customers is a necessity right now because of rising costs of energy, as well as our capital maintenance needs. That's my understanding of it. And so with that, I would move to adopt an ordinance to amend the electric rate schedule as presented and recommended by the director.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Mayor, I just wanted to say that I hear the public here tonight calling for the community to come together, and I would love to talk to you after the meeting, sir, about the day center that you mentioned. Mr. Bouchard and I have talked about different things to help, and those discussions will continue. And I also think that we are the answer, not just we, but all of us. So we'll talk more about this and find more solutions.
Further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call starting with Alderman White.
Alderman White?
Yes.
Alderman Best?
Yes.
Alderman Outlaw?
Yes.
Alderman Ferguson?
Yes.
Alderman Bryant?
Yes.
Alderman Astor?
No.
Mayor Odham?
No, and the reason why. I've always stated I would say why. I voted no on the last rate increase in August of last year and expressed concerns about this continuing to be an issue. About 2 years ago, I also made the recommendation that we adopt a policy that would mirror Duke's, and we wouldn't have to be talking about this again. I believe, as I told the news outlet today, if you continue to try to do the same thing, going down the same path, you're going to get the same results. And I believe, as Alderman Ferguson mentioned, item number 16, it's a good opportunity to look at the future of the City of New Bern Electric Department. In spite of all the comments, and by the way, nobody said anything tonight that I was expecting to hear. I didn't expect anybody to come to the microphone and say, I agree with the increase. Send it on to me. But as I've told people till I'm blue in the face, that the City of New Bern electricity on your bill is lower than Duke right now. And I believe, Charlie, based off the graph you showed, it will continue to be when this motion passes for a 2% increase. But people don't understand that. All people know is they got a bill and it was more than it was last month. And when you try to dissect how much they've consumed, it gets really complicated in trying to explain that to folks. I believe that for years, and the mayor Alderman Outlaw can correct me if I'm wrong, but that debt service that somebody mentioned, maybe Mr. Brown, that the City of New Bern had to share in that debt service with the 30 other municipalities. That was a fixed amount, okay? So it got divided up amongst the municipalities. We had our fair share, our portion of that we had to pay. So the mentality for City of New Bern Electric for probably a couple decades was, let's grow the grid, let's get more customers, because the more customers we have on the grid, the more we can divide that and share that amongst them. That's no longer the case now. We're at an inference point to where if we continue to grow the grid and invest and grow and make it bigger, then there's a cost of that. And that cost is what we're seeing right now. And the director is doing exactly what he's paid to do, is bring that before the board. I believe we're at a point where we need to quit growing the grid. We need to quit servicing customers in Havelock. Somebody else needs to do that. We need to focus on our citizens within the city of New Bern. So
I concur with that.
very good. So hopefully, maybe our next item that we're going to discuss, we'll get to that point. So, item number 16. Discuss a formation of a working group to review electric energy with Director of Public Utilities. Mr. Hughes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, at the February 10th meeting, the board asked for this item to be placed on the agenda. Originally, this was to discuss the electric utility. I would recommend if the group is interested in forming a work group that you consider not only the electric utility, but water and sewer and solid waste, since they are all enterprise funds.
Mr. Alderman Ferguson, I believe this is one you were championing.
Yes. Last meeting, I asked for this in some iteration to have some discussion. We have kicked around a few different ideas, and I think that a subset of this board, 2 or 3 aldermen who can not only meet with the utility director, but also can, and what I would like tonight is for us to direct staff to start searching and hire a consultant to look at the economic viability of our electric utility for the future. And I would like this working group to work with the director as well as the consultant to look at all options. I think the mayor's point is well taken on growth of the utility and the grid and trying to cost share the debt service. If there's a way to consolidate, let's look at it and look at the economics behind that. If there is an opportunity with Duke Energy or any other co-op or other utility for partnership, whether or not we are able to continue economically to support a contract with Nakimpa and our membership in electric cities, all of that should be on the table with a consultant working with that group to dig in and then come back to this body to report on. Because what I don't think would be effective, and I think would be a disservice to the resources that our citizens have entrusted us with, is if we as a board tried to meet every month with an additional meeting and try to dig into this, or if we tried to use this regular meeting to dig into it, we'd be here till midnight. And so I think a working group of this body, 2 to 3, to start with the direction to hire a consultant to look at the electric utility would be a primary goal of this working group. The second piece that the manager brought up, the electric utility is an enterprise fund. It is not funded through tax dollars. It is funded through rate revenue. In order for them to go out for debt service, they would go through a revenue bond process. They would go through obtaining debt and paying it off by their rates. The electric is only one of our 4 enterprise funds. We have water and sewer and solid waste. And revenue bonds affect all of those enterprise funds and their capital projects. And so I think this working group as a secondary goal could be to look at the capital plan for the next 5 to 10 years of those enterprise funds and the rate structures to try to make sure that we know with some certainty what the future of rates looks like instead of us doing this every year. I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, the idea of every year going through this rigmarole with rates. But with rising costs, it is a necessity. But I think we can do a better job as a group sitting and planning for that, and having a few of us really dig in to report. So that's that. I mean, I'm open to other suggestions, but I really would recommend and would like, and I don't know if I need it in my motion, but a working group with 2 to 3 aldermen. I would like to be included on that with the direction to hire a consultant as I've presented.
Any other comments?
I'd be really interested in the scope of work of the consultant. I've read these 2 studies, and they were right much generated by staff information, and the objectivity of. I'm not for paying big consulting fees and not getting the results of the scope of work we're looking for. I would think that the consultant, pretty much other than interviewing staff, would be going out and getting benchmarks and other things within Eastern North Carolina and making a presentation. I see a lot of studies done that pretty much from my perspective, you can just put in the trash can. So yes, the study is fine, but I do want involvement of the board as to the scope of the study.
And I think that's, Alderman Outlaw, I think it's a point well taken, which is why I don't think it's I would not be in favor of just directing staff to hire a consultant, look into it, and report back. I think 2 or 3 of us working directly with the consultant and our utility director on that scope and making sure that we're involved in the investigation of that, and then reporting back to this body.
I think you made some good comments there from a triage standpoint. I think that the water and sewer, not so much about the solid waste, but they're all important. They all need the attention more so of the board than they've gotten in the past, maybe. But I do think between today's date and 2027, we have to make some really big decisions that will not come to fruition until 2037. I think you said, Charlie, you said 2035, but I was thinking that if we were to do anything different other than hire a lawyer to get us out of what we're in, which we couldn't, I think the date would be 2037. You said 2035?
Yes, I did say that.
But I thought we had to give a 10-year notice if we were.
If I understand correctly the question, and I've asked electricities for clarification on this, haven't received clarification, but I believe our requirement is to give early notice by the end of 2027 if we want out by 2035.
By 22, it's 8 years.
Yes, sir. So to your point, yes, we have to move quickly if we think that's a good decision for us. We can't wait till this time next year to be planning that.
No, yeah.
Now, the other part of that is I've asked the question, if we give notice in 2027, can we do our due diligence between 27 and 35? And if we get into 2032, say, we changed our mind, this is a good deal for us, we want to stay with it. I'm waiting for clarification on that. Did I answer your question?
I'm not going to exhaust the discussion tonight about the Kempa and everything else. There's plenty of time for that, but I'm not so sure that model still works.
Just to make sure, for the benefit of, and it's always funny how the news crew leaves after the vote when you're trying to explain.
They're interviewing people.
Yeah.
We'll have our opportunity,
Absolutely.
I assure you.
Just for the benefit of the residents and citizens who are listening and watching and here tonight, we contract through a purchasing group with Nakempa Electricities, and they get their power from Duke. We're talking about contract, and so we're contractually obligated to buy our power through this contract. There is potentially a notice provision for whether or not we can get out of the contract. That's the 2027 date we're referring to. And then the 2035 date is when that service would be discontinued. Well, you don't want to discontinue service without viable alternatives. And Electricities, Nakempa may be that viable alternative. We just are suggesting a group of us need to dig in with a consultant to look at that economic viability moving forward. So,
Alderman Ferguson, I heard you said you would be interested in serving. Who else would like to?
I'll be glad to serve.
Okay. Alderman Best, you have one more?
Limit of 3?
Yeah, we need a limit of 3. Correct.
And just
I just assumed Dana would want to.
being on the Nakempa appointment.
I plan on being at all the Nakempa meetings, and I do want to say this to the public. And Wendy and I have talked some about this, that it's kind of hard to keep the public informed when this is 2026, and I want you to know that your Nakempa meetings are not televised. So if any of y'all went home tonight after this discussion and wanted to say, well, I need to, let's check on that Nakempa meeting, in July. Well, there's not one because they're not recorded. And I think our attorney will tell you that legally you can't make them recorded. Could I go to their meeting and hold this right here and record? I'd probably I think I'd probably get told not to, but I think legally, open meetings says that if you're not distracting or in any way creating a disturbance to where a meeting cannot be held, maybe you can, maybe you can't record. If I got up and got a tripod and went up right before the board and started recording, I think I'd be escorted out. So I just want you to know that as we're going to continue in the next couple of years to try to fix a problem that has come up here as of late with this atypical high 4.5% wholesale rate, and the merger itself and the shared benefits of North Carolina with South Carolina utilities having to approve the merger and a lot of other dynamic things. The least thing so that we can inform the public is to tell you that, yes, Utilities Commission meetings are televised. That's what I would probably call somewhat of an occupation board. And yes, videos are available, just like this meeting tonight. But no, Electric City's Nakempa meetings are not. And
what I'm hearing Alderman Outlaw say is what I'm hearing is you want the chief to fit you with a body cam for the Nakempa meeting. Is that the...
Well, the first thing I'll try to do when I go to the meeting is get things to where it should be. This is not 1950. This is 2026, and
Well, Alderman Outlaw, if I can make a suggestion, I think being on the Nakempa board as a New Bern representative, it would make sense if you're able and willing to serve with Alderwoman Best and I on this working group looking at the utility.
I don't want the board to have a quorum, and I think there are other aldermen of a concern about this.
Alderman Outlaw, I feel like you are very well fitted for that group. I don't want to take your spot from it.
And I agree.
I agree too.
We all agree, so there's no issue here.
I make the motion to form the working group to review electric energy as well as no motion.
You wouldn't need a motion. Thank you, though.
Thank you. All right. I just want to make sure the record is clear that Alderman Outlaw is a part of this working group.
And duly noted.
Thank you.
I fully support that under the one condition that nothing is off the table for consideration, including the city of New Bern getting out of the electric business. And if that is an opportunity, and that's something that this group will look into and something the consultant will look into, and it may come back that it's a benefit to us. The electric cities and public power will certainly tell you there's a benefit to having public power. But I think, as the Alderman Outlaw mentioned, things have changed, times have changed, and I think it's time to look at all options. So, anything else needed on item number 16?
I will say this, as we look at alternatives, I noticed that, going back in retrospect, empirical data, et cetera, I noticed that in 2015, the Electric Cities Board of Directors had a board member, and again, I'll say this as I always say when I go out on a limb. I apologize if I'm wrong, but in 2015, I believe a board of directors was from Kings Mountain. Kings Mountain today, I don't think that person's on that board anymore because Kings Mountain has a partnership with NTE out of St. Augustine that generates 450 megawatts of power for a 9-municipality area around there, of which Kings Mountain is the primary partner. And those are the type of other opportunities that, of course, your vertical integrated model, Duke Energy, does not want an NTE in. Now, keep in mind one other thing. You got a study here that's recently been completed by the governor's office that's available for the public, and it gets into tariffs and things that are being done in other states that will help keep residential rates down. And something of interest that's come up in the last month is the President of the United States has gone out on a limb, and you can talk more to this and your legal thoughts on it, that AI, which Mr. Bouchard, I believe your study shows that increasing consumption from your consultant is 16 to 60%. That's a bit of a range there. But Some studies think in 10 years with AI and a lot of other things like that, consumption could be double, triple. But the president has said, which is not public policy at this time, but that he's going to see to AIs and others like that being able to have their own generation, which I think they're going to have to go through FERC and other things to do. So I'm just trying to say there's a lot of shifting things going on here, and I hope, along with staff and this ad hoc group, that we can make sure New Bern gets its piece of the pie it hadn't gotten, just like Greenville has a 25 megawatt booster. Nakempa paid for it. Yeah. New Bern got a 25 megawatt boost for our peak demand. No. I mean, does that serve all of Nakempa? Probably, right? But being centrally located in Greenville with ohms, the resistance, is that a favorable to Greenville versus Elizabeth City or somebody? Probably. So I'm looking for a third generation plant from Nakempa here in New Bern, for starters.
Okay. Item number 17, discuss a local bill seeking to change the City of New Bern elections. Mr. Hughes.
So you may remember at the board retreat in January that there was discussion from the board on possibly moving the election to the next election. And so at the February meeting during the manager's report, we provided some options. One of those was the nonpartisan election runoff method, moving that to either 2028 or 2029, and the other option was the nonpartisan plurality method. And so the board requested that this be put back on the agenda for this meeting for discussion.
Board?
I think if I'm recalling correct, and the city manager can correct me, or the finance officer can correct me, I believe New Bern paid, was it $90,000 or $99,000?
Approximately $90,000.
$90,000 last year to hold a standalone city election. Now, granted, because of the bond and efforts, there's quite a bit of turnout, but historically, there has not been as much turnout because of it being in an odd year. All of the other municipalities in Craven County are on an even year, and so they share the cost burden with elections. And this came up in the campaign, and we all discussed this, the idea of moving the election to an even year to save costs. Another thing moving to an even year would allow is to make sure we preserve early voting, while it's my understanding, I've talked with the elections director in Craven County, having a standalone election, or not having a standalone election, for city elections, we get to select whether or not to have early voting. If we move our election to an even year with other elections, both state and federal, that becomes a huge cost deterrent for a board, not this board, but a future board, to get rid of early voting. And so that would, by moving it, we would also be protecting early voting. And so I just think from a cost perspective, a turnout, I think I'm in favor of moving it to an even year. So then the question becomes what year? And what I would like to ask the General Assembly for is moving the election to 2030, because frankly, I don't think any of us want to run on a presidential year, because we all want to keep it nonpartisan. And so moving it to 2030 would be non-presidential, keep it nonpartisan. And I'm also open to the plurality method by just sheer logistics. If you try to run a general with a runoff, you end up with a general election in March, and if you have a runoff in November. That leaves the potential for a lame duck for 8 months, or having someone who won in March waiting around 8 months to be sworn in. Since it's a nonpartisan election, you wouldn't have a primary. And so I think plurality fixes that, and you could have a plurality in November of 2030. So no need for a runoff at the expensive runoff, just like all the other municipalities in Craven County. And you have that plurality election in November so that the next board can be seated by the December meeting, which is required. I believe it's under state statute, is for the organizational meeting. So I'm in favor of asking the General Assembly for a local bill to change the City of New Bern elections to be in 2030 plurality and keeping it nonpartisan. And that's my motion.
I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is everyone clear on the motion? Mr. Davis, question. This is the local bill. This would actually be a charter change, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so we would put that request on your next agenda to then be expedited to the General Assembly.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
I'm all for the midterm. I guess that's what you're referring to. And everything about your motion, other than I'm not much on plurality. I think that we just recently had a runoff. I don't know what it costs. But with the odd years, when there is an election and there's a runoff, we just have a runoff. Why, if you had it on the midterm, that's actually me, I'm sorry. If we had a midterm, election, and we normally are seated in December, I don't know how much time the minimal amount of time you would need between the election and a runoff. But the only thing any different from my perspective would be the cost of the runoff.
So if you did the general in November, you would not be able to do a runoff by the December meeting. And so that's hence the reason for
the plurality. When you talk about elections, what's the minimal time between?
I don't know the minimal time, but I know if you think just from a canvassing perspective, and then if you're going to have 2 weeks of early voting, it's just there's not enough days between a November election and December meeting to be able to have a runoff. And the runoff, I don't think, I didn't talk to her specifically about that. And from a cost perspective, if it cost the city $90,000 for this last election, I think the runoff was maybe a little less than half of that.
Well, my main idea of your motion of the plurality is getting more voter turnout. I think we get more on midterm than we're getting on odd years, would be my thought. But I'm not for plurality at this time.
Okay. Anyone else?
The only concern I have with it is that I've had citizens reach out and they're concerned about, as a city, we've always been nonpartisan, and they want to keep it that way, nonpartisan. For as the runoff method is concerned, I mean, I prefer the plurality method because whoever wins one vote over, they're the winner. You don't have to worry about a runoff. And that way they're saving you money, $40-some thousand or more without having a runoff. Now, I know a lot of you aldermen and mayor, you've kept your seats with the runoff method. So it's totally up to this board how we vote on this method that we're going to use, but I just don't want to be classified as we become partisan. I want it to stay nonpartisan. And if we go into the even year, the presidential, the main election, and then we're gonna, it's gonna become more partisan. But that's just the way I feel about the plurality method, and I know others feel differently. So everybody have their own way of wanting to select the process that will affect them more so.
I think in governing, compromise is always the key. I've obviously been a proponent of the runoff. I've won every runoff I've been in. And I've been in one every time I've been contested. But I also recognize that it's a tremendous expense. And I think it's certainly worth the trade-off of the savings of the funding. Because I believe even with the plurality method, there's still a minimum threshold. Is it 30%?
I don't know the answer to that. I think that's right, but I don't know.
I think there's a 30% threshold. So if 10 people decide they want to run for office, the top vote getter still has to get 30%. I thought.
It's saying here on this, it says 50%.
Well, it does. So, for example, there was a county commissioner race last week where 3 people were in the race, and there was a 30% threshold. So, theoretically, nobody would have not gotten the 30%. That's right. The only question is if there's 10 people in the race and everybody got 10% and one person got 10.5%, would they then become your next alderman? That's the only question I have. And I think we've got time because we're not actually...
It's saying here 50% on this. This is the information that was given to it.
I don't think it could be 50%.
Well, I'm just reading what the city manager or whomever gave to us. It says 50% right here. The nonpartisan election and plurality method with one important distinction. If a winner in these elections does not receive a majority, 50+% of the votes, the candidate who came in second is allowed to ask for a runoff. But I don't see how that is.
That's now, nonpartisan.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Nonpartisan majority. If it was nonpartisan plurality, then it would be the top vote getter. And I think to the mayor's point, we're just giving staff direction in my motion to draft up a resolution with what we'd like to send to the General Assembly, which we would have at our next meeting. And if we find out before then that the plurality is 30% threshold, that might change that. So we have time to discuss that. But my understanding, plurality is the top vote getter. So it has to be 50%. It could
one
be,
vote over. You get
that's right. One, but not 50%. It is if there's 4 people in the race, the top vote getter. They might not get 30%.
I got you.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I was just reading from the paper.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
No
yes,
problem.
ma'am.
So I guess the reason I mentioned it requiring a charter change, Mr. Davis, is because we really want this to be unanimous if we request it from the General Assembly.
Yes, sir. And I'll between now and the next meeting, I'll try to speak with one of the attorneys at the General Assembly. See, I tend to prefer a charter amendment because people think to look at the charter. People don't think to look for a local bill that they can't easily find. But I'll have an answer between now and the next meeting.
And also for clarification, our term now, which is 4 years, will move to 5 years. Correct? If we go with an even year.
If you move it to 2030.
An even year.
Mr. Davis, could you clarify plurality on this particular?
Yeah, plurality just simply means the most.
I'm talking about on this particular. What Barbara?
It's up here on the the system.
Currently, 50%.
Currently, it's 50%. Yes. Under the current.
Well, it looks to me like you may have a runoff most of the time.
Which is the issue with the current system. That's not what's being proposed. Yes.
Well, can I also ask that, I don't know how other board members feel, but maybe we have the Board of Election, a member from the Board of Director come before us as a board and explain all of this more in detail. I mean, how does the board feel about that? Or are you good with it? You don't want it? We can move on.
You want your motion, you want it.
I'm just asking a question.
I think if we're okay with moving forward, giving staff the direction they need, it gives them a month to put that together in a resolution. And if the city manager can work with the Craven County Board of Elections to have someone here to answer questions, during that meeting, I'm fine with that as well.
I'll go with you tonight.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on. So I've got a note that number 18, 19, and 20 can be considered together, assuming they are unanimous. I'm going to read all 3. Item number 18 is consider adopting a resolution approving a license agreement with Riverfront Hospitality LLC and authorizing the city manager to execute a riparian waiver form. Item number 19 is consider adopting a resolution approving an agreement with Simmons Property Group LLC for improvements to Federal Alley. And item number 20, consider adopting a resolution approving an agreement with Colonial Place Condominiums LLC for improvements to Federal Alley. Mr. Hughes.
Mayor, Riverfront Hospitality, which owns the DoubleTree, desires to construct and maintain an extended dock with railing, a stairway, and stadium-style seating at the DoubleTree Hotel. The improvements would be located on approximately 1,100 square feet of city-owned property between the hotel and the Riverwalk. The proposed agreement grants a non-exclusive personal license for a term of up to 15 years. Construction and maintenance would be at the sole expense of Riverfront Hospitality, and the city would be indemnified from related liability. The agreement does not convey any property and preserves the city's right to use the property. The public would have access to the stadium seating during the term of the agreement. John Harrelson, the property owner, is here if you have any questions on that one.
Does the board have questions on that one? Okay.
If no question, the next one, we received the North Carolina Department of Commerce grant a few years ago for the beautification of Federal Alley. Part of that included tearing out the old sidewalk, putting exposed aggregate in there, decorative river rock in there, doing a mural on one of the walls, and also a mural on the transformer boxes. So it also called to add new lighting, and so in order for us to put lighting in, we have to have an agreement, which is the first one, with Simmons Property Group LLC to install lighting on their building. The agreement calls for Simmons Property Group to get a contractor to install the lighting. We would reimburse them for the cost of that. The city would, in fact, in turn be responsible for the energy cost to light those lights moving forward. So that would be public lights. It would also call to install a plaque commemorating the North Carolina Department of Commerce project on the Simmons Group property, which is Morgan's Restaurant. And it would also include attaching a sign overhead of the entranceway of Federal Alley. The other agreement with Colonial Place Condominiums, that is basically to make sure that the sign is attached to both sides of the alley. Simmons has one side of the sign, and Colonial Place has the other side of the sign, which would be installed. The term of these agreements are for 10 years.
Mr. Hughes, that energy cost you mentioned, is that paid for through MSD funding?
That would actually be absorbed by Public Works as part of electric utility lights.
Okay, because street lights downtown within the MSD are not paid for through the MSD.
That's correct.
Okay. Does the board have questions on 18 through 20 or any of those individually?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve items 18, 19, and 20 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call starting with Alderman Outlaw.
Yes.
Alderman Outlaw. Alderman Ferguson.
Yes.
Alderman Bryant.
Yes.
Alderman Astor.
Yes.
Alderman White.
Yes.
Alderman Best. Mayor Odham.
Yes, motion carries. Next is item number 21. Consider adopting an ordinance amending city-sponsored events. Mr. Hughes.
So at the January board retreat, we did talk about city-sponsored events briefly, and we did also mention two events that really haven't occurred in several years. The first one is Friends of the Library. While they do have book sales, they don't ask the city for anything during their book sales, so it just makes sense to remove that from the city-sponsored event list. The other one is the Twin Rivers YMCA 5K and 10K. They no longer offer this event in May. Instead, they offer a turkey trot, which occurs to Bern in November of each year. But since they've been doing that, and that has been occurring for the last several years, they have not requested any city support for that. So we're requesting to take both of these items off of the city-sponsored list.
Does the board have questions? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board on item number 21?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to amend the ordinance amending city-sponsored events as presented with one addition. I would like to add Mardi Gras in the month of February as a city-sponsored event. As you know, last month we held it in downtown, and from the data that I saw, about 12,000 people in downtown that day. It was about 4,000 average for the hour with a lull time of 2 hours. And so they came downtown and they stayed. And so I think that shows proof of concept that is an event that was widely attended, was widely popular, and is going to happen for years to come. And so I would like that included on the city-sponsored events.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, let's have a roll call starting with Alderman Ferguson.
Alderman Ferguson.
Yes.
Alderman Bryant.
Yes.
Alderman Astor.
Yes.
Alderman White.
Yes.
Alderman Best. Alderman Outlaw. Mayor Odom.
Yes, motion carries. Next is appointments. Alderman Outlaw, you have an appointment for the Board of Adjustments. Do you have anyone?
Yeah, Nadine Buchanan.
Okay, we have a motion for Nadine Buchanan. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? She is on the Board of Adjustments for Ward 5. I'm sorry, Ward 6. We also have a Board of Adjustment for Ward 5, but Alderman Best is not in the room. And then we have one opening Board at Large for the Police Civil Service Board. Does anyone have an appointment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would appoint Kim Crum to the Police Civil Service Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, she is also appointed to the Police Civil Service Board. Alderman Best, while you're walking up, do you have an appointment for the Board of Adjustment tonight?
No, I do not.
Okay, so we will move on. We also have an opening again on the MPO. TAC, Alderman Bryant is the alternate, but we do need someone to serve as the primary member. Is anyone interested in serving on that?
I'm sorry, what board was that?
The MPO. Hearing.
We'll serve on the board.
Okay. Alderman White has volunteered.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Alderman White is the primary representative on the MPO TAC. Anyone else have appointments that I don't show? Okay. Attorney's report.
Nothing important tonight, Mayor.
City Manager's report.
Just one item to this week. The City of New Bern is hosting the North Carolina Main Street Conference. Over 830 participants from across the North and South Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky are in town, and these are all from local government. So we're excited to have all those folks in town, and we look forward to meeting with them and showing them our beautiful city over the next several days. That's all we have tonight.
Okay. New business, Alderman Ferguson.
So 2 items just to get the board an update. Last month, Alderwoman Bryant and Alderwoman White and I, along with Helen Stevens in Finance and Colleen Roberts, attended the League of Municipalities Strategic Planning workshop that was held here in downtown New Bern. It was a really great workshop. We left with a really good working draft of a potential plan that incorporates our 6 objectives that we have already agreed on, and so it's kind of embedded that. We are kind of refining focus areas and objectives, and then we'll be ready in the next month, in April, to present that. So we'll circulate it in the agenda packet for this board to consider, and then we'll be looking to essentially refer that draft plan to department heads to hit on initiatives within our focus areas. And these things focus on long-term growth and planning for that. And so I just want to give you a brief update on that and what to expect in April. The other thing is I've been working with the Historic Society on a joint exhibit, especially given America 250 and our City Hall needs it needs things on the walls, and so I've been working with the Historic Society on getting some images of different historical photos of events and buildings in downtown New Bern, and they're very excited to work with us on that. The cost estimate, there's about 25 to 26 pieces that are going to be blown up and framed locally with little plaques. I don't anticipate that cost to be more than $10,000, and that's an overestimate, but just to be safe. And so we have that in our budget under special appropriations, I believe, special appropriation, in I think community development fund, and so would like for this board to set aside that up to $10,000 for that project. So that's just, I can do that in new business, but I wanted to give you that update if there was any kind of discussion. Well, it's new business right now, so if there's any discussion on that.
Is that your motion?
Yes, that's my motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Are you saying that you want $10,000? Are we voting? Are we
Yeah, the
saying that
motion
we're
is for
gonna-
$10,000 from we have 24 in community development special appropriation that hasn't been appropriated yet for this budget year, and we're about 3 months till the end of this budget year, and to be able to work with the Historic Society to put those exhibits up.
So for a little more context on that, the governing board each year has approximately $25,000 that they can allocate towards certain projects if you so choose. So sometimes those funds have been used on a special request. It may have been used on an appraisal or anything that the board decides that they want to do.
And you said there's still funds available?
There are.
Run that by me one more time. I mean,
What
more information.
What I'll do is consider this an update. I'll withdraw my motion, and this is an update on a project I'm working on with the Historic Society, and we'll get you a presentation of cost estimates with the images.
I just want to make sure it's a good use. So,
well, I'll put together something so you all can look at.
Please do.
I think that would be extremely helpful. I mean, typically we're asked for $1,000 or $2,000 for something. 10's a pretty large expense, especially under new business, which it would have to come back, I'm sure, as a, well, I don't
Yes.
know. Would it have
So
to
this
come back
was
as a budget amendment?
So we'll prepare that for April, but I wanted to give you that update.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Is that all you have?
Yes.
All right. Alderman Bryant.
No new business.
Alderman Astor.
Yeah, I have a couple things here that I'm going to try to read from an email that I received and Charlie's gone, so I'll direct them to you, please, Foster. The gentleman says he has 3 issues. One, that the auto pay was stopped for the electric bill, and they are now charging $9 late fee, although the city said no charges will be charged. Do you know what he's talking about?
I do not. Now, one thing that could have happened was when we moved to the new billing system, you probably would have had to re-sign up for that, but we'll get his information from you after this, and we'll reach out and make sure we thoroughly understand.
It says, and he said we allow or still have access to the old billing site on the Pay My Bill tab on the city website. It says when you log into it, it shows the January payment is outstanding. When you log into the new platform, it shows the January payment was made. And he's recommending that we do away with the old website so people can't go in there.
I think he's probably got a cookie on his system, because if you click on the link, there's only one link there, and it's the new link.
That's correct. We took care of that about a month ago.
And then the last one was the website bill with our website, schedulepayment.com/Newbern, does not take you to the new platform. It shows an error. You have to type it in Google to get it to come up. So if you take care of all that for me, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And other than that, I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Alderman White.
I would like to announce that I am going to attend the Municipal Perspective on Housing put out by the League of Municipalities in North Carolina, and that will be on Thursday. If anybody else would like to join me in this virtual meeting. That's it. Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Alderman Best.
Yes, this is a question for Public Works, but Mr. Hughes, you could answer it for me. When there's I'll just say there's a repair or something that has to be done by the city comes out and do the repair, and they tear up a citizen's driveway. Well, how long does it take them before they go back and lay that concrete in that person's driveway?
It should not take very long. We have our own concrete crew, so if something like that occurs, they're usually pretty good about taking care of that within a few days. And so if there's been an issue, please let me know. We'll make sure that that's taken care of.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Alderman Outlaw.
So what Alderman Best is saying, in today's world with Facebook and all, I do get a certain number of, I try to monitor a lot of Facebooks in my area, Greenbrier and Kingsbury and things like that. And sometimes there'll be, seems like most time it's internet provider is out doing their doing local, either installing or they're, putting flags up and for water lines, sewer lines, et cetera. And I know that mostly comes under Public Works, but I think sometimes I've called Public Works and they had to go out and check and see what was going on. Is there any way we could have any better communication with these different vendors that are coming into the area?
So Public Works, when we started going through the MetroNet process, we really had to really be mindful of it. And whenever we would see someone else come in, we would issue stop work orders, reach out to the corporate folks to make sure that they went through their process to fill out their permits with us, so we would be fully aware. And I think overall we've gotten that under control. From time to time, we still do have crews that come in that are supposedly working for one company or another, and so we have to stop them until they go through the process. So, and of course, if anyone sees anyone working in the right of way and they have concerns, let us know. We do have, Public Works has a few project managers that constantly go out and stay with these crews to make sure that they avoid strikes as much as possible, and they're there to answer citizen questions and concerns as well.
The only other thing, several years ago, I'd say probably about 5 years ago, we were getting so many complaints about the lack of competition within internet providers that we actually, we were having a hard time trying to make sure that the people that were complaining were getting the answers they needed. Most of them, we got to where we had on our website, we actually had a little a mechanism where you could just punch this and make a complaint. And we were, Ms. Blanco, about once a week we were bundling them up and sending them to the Attorney General. You remember that? And,
very fondly.
And more so in the future than we've had in the past. I think it's going to be very important that this board and the staff keep the public apprised of what's going on with electricity. And I'm just thinking about whether or not we ought to have that same type of thing, because I'm going to tell you, these complaints that we have gotten and are going to get, I want them to go to a higher power than the city of New Bern. I want them to go to the Utilities Commission, Attorney General's office, and obviously NACUMBA. And that's just something we don't have to do tonight. I want you to think about it. I think that we probably can't do enough to communicate on behalf of the citizenry their disgust and disdain for all the things going on right now with power. I'm through.
Okay. I have three things. I'll try to do these as briefly as possible. One, this is a reminder that next month we will add a petition of citizens to the end of the meeting for items that's not germane to the agenda. Just wanted to share with the public, for example, we had 6 petitions tonight, and one of them was really talking about the rate increase, and that could have been handled in the public hearing. The reason for this, and I'm going to take one of these and use it as an example. We were requested tonight, we received a package of information to create a moratorium for sale of property that's owned by the school board for an offer that's been made by the Housing Authority that the city of New Bern really has no purview over. Just so the public knows, when we talk about engagement and being able to be accessible to the public, there's a couple of folks in the audience. Alderman Bryant was with me. We came here Sunday night and met with a group of concerned citizens about that very topic. Had some very spirited conversation, but I think we got a lot of things addressed. And we had someone who was actually at that meeting Sunday night come back tonight in a petition of citizens and use 4 minutes to ask us to do something that we have no legal purview over. So I say that for the public to understand that we are all accessible. We work more than 1 meeting a month, 2 meetings next month. If you need us, we are here to answer those questions for you. And the benefit of having it at the end of the meeting is we can have some more robust discussion. The second thing, actually, is really the last thing, is Alderman Outlaw mentioned that the NACUMBA meetings were not televised, and we are in 2026. I also wanted to make everyone aware that the HPC design review meetings are not televised either. And I spoke with a couple of members of that board, and they said they're willing to have those televised. So I think in the spirit of transparency with the concerns that's been expressed over HPC, that we ensure that the HPC design review meetings are televised as well. Does anybody have an issue with that?
So you need that in the form of a motion.
I don't think so. I think direction would be good with that. Okay.
Okay.
And I believe we do need a closed session.
We do, Mayor, very briefly, pursuant to 143, 311A3 to maintain our attorney-client privilege.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Alderman Bryant. She's got a voice of a mouse over here. Sorry.
I know.
All those in favor of closed session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're in closed session. We are back in open session. Is there any more business coming before the Board of Aldermen this evening? Adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.